Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your president speaking. President of Ben & Woods, the Tier 1 nation. I come to you this morning in a great mood. Very, very happy to be here with you. Always proud to represent this show, this radio station, as best I can. As best I can. I often fall short. But I try. I'm trying. I'm in therapy, several different variations of therapy, just trying to be better every single day, you know? Progress, not perfection, is my campaign slogan. And kind of what we've been doing since we've been here, progress. Hope everyone out there is having a great Tuesday morning. Let's get our heads right today. I will just tell you, it is Election Day. We all know that's going on. I see a lot of people already panicking about the inundation of media right now. Listen, my advice to you is, and this is my advice to myself, protect your peace today. Just protect your peace. However you need to do it. If you don't want to listen to the news, don't. If you don't want to be on Twitter, don't be. Grab a book. Go play a game. Go take a run. I'm probably going to go for a nice long walk tonight. A weighted vest walk, which is my new bit. So let's talk about it. But listen, protect your peace as best you can. That's my only message for you today. I'm Woodsy. That is Paul Ryle, our executive producer, our imaging director here at the radio station. Paulie is our right-hand man. We have two right-hand, we have two right hands, Ben and I do, and Paulie is our right-hand man. Good to have you here.
Good to be here. Only thing I'll say is it's a weird world we live in.
Sure is.
Where no matter what happens, you're like, it could get weird.
Yeah, that's the thing, it can always get weirder. That's one thing that we do know. It can always get weirder. To my left, my vice president, Benjamin R. Higgins. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning. In case anybody wonders, I did briefly throw my hat in the ring earlier in the year, but the internal polling didn't look very good, and I gracefully conceded, stepped out of the race, let you continue on with another term as president of Ben & Woods.
No term limits here on Ben & Woods.
Content to serve in my role.
I was a little bummed about that. I thought you were a coward backing out a little early because we didn't even get to do the Ben versus Woods political ads that we did 4 years ago.
Debates.
Our debates.
Yeah, that's true. But I stepped out early this year on your, Joint Chiefs of Staff in charge of budgetary matters.
Yes.
Vice president of the Ben & Woods program. I'm happy with that role.
It is funny, though, because we do have a budget here on Ben & Woods. It's our budget, and the Tier 1s help us with our budget. So if you buy a Ben & Woods shirt, we make a few bucks off of it. We put it into a fund. And then we use that fund to buy things like stickers and T-shirts to give away and things like that.
A slush fund, as it were.
Not really slush. Slush is more for like hookers and stuff, and we don't have that. We don't use it for that.
I thought it was for slushies,
not for slushies.
Like frozen treats.
No, a slush fund is for like, hey, we're
not in the Woods administration.
Not under my watch. Absolutely not. But I think with the slush fund, Benny, it's for things that are like, hey, we're going to go on a golf junket, the three of us, and you're going to pay for it.
So we're not going to do that?
No, we're not doing that. Absolutely not.
What's the point?
Why not?
But I was going to say, even with our budget, Ben is the vice president, and he is mostly in charge of budgetary concerns. But Paulie will always run by, hey, we need new microphones for
I'm
the
the
podcast.
Secretary of Treasury.
It's true. And Paulie will say, should I do this? And we're always like, yeah, go ahead. Do whatever you have to do. So Paulie usually makes those decisions. What would you say you do around here?
It's a good question.
I manage the entire show's bank account.
Ben is
I do our bookkeeping.
He's really got a good gig if you think about it.
I give us a veneer of responsibility.
Yes, a veneer of polish.
Yes, exactly.
It's true. That you legitimize us a little bit.
There it is. There's the word.
That's what I'm looking
legitimize the rest of the program.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope everyone's having a good morning in the personal torture chamber at home with my wife, as you can imagine. She knows this is coming this morning. I sent this tweet last night. Now you didn't see this tweet. How come?
I don't know. I was on Twitter last night at work, so I don't know why I missed it. But
do you mute me?
I don't mute you.
I
see your tweets,
stuff at night.
But I don't see every tweet while I'm working. I don't spend, I don't scroll. Sometimes you can't scroll back so far you've missed it, and it says 120 new tweets, and it's like, I'm not going back through all of those. So,
So last night, Monday night, right? My wife tells me, oh, by the way, we have a new thing that we're doing during the week. And I said, oh, okay. Well, because youth soccer is wrapping up. They only have one more practice, one more game. I've got 3 more youth baseball games this season. They're all on Sundays. There are no fields to practice, so there aren't any midweek practices. So we're getting it down.
So you're
we're
looking at
narrowing it
like
down.
Thanksgiving, Christmas will be off.
I'm done for a while. And because, of course, there were 5 idle minutes, my missus decided to fill the void. And she said, by the way, I've signed the boys up for more swim classes. 4 nights a week for the next 4 weeks. And I said, oh, okay. Why? She said, because it's the one thing that they're deficient in. And I said, all right, well, we don't have a pool. We don't go to the beach. They're never really out of our sight around water. They don't really take baths, right? Like they know enough to not drown in the bathtub right now because we've spent $25,000 at another place near us that we went every couple times a week for 4 years. So I said, oh, we're doing this again. She goes, uh-huh. And I said, okay. She goes, well, don't worry, I'll take them. And I go, yeah, but you're leaving town for a week, next week. So that means I will take them. So we go. It was fine. At the end of the day, it was fine. Like it's at a private, a woman's home with a heated pool, which is nice. It's different. You're not in there with a bunch of kids.
You're not at the YMCA.
You're not at the YMCA or this other place that has like the big tub.
we did the big swim school,
Oh, yeah.
and it was a slog because you have to get the kids there.
Oh, yeah.
And then, at the end, they're wet.
It's
and you have
45
to
minutes. You have to change
them, dry them, change them, do the whole thing, have a bag for the wet clothes
Oh, yeah.
at the end.
Oh, yeah.
I understand where you're coming from
Yeah.
in terms of the
After your work day, and
parental hassle
Oh,
of
yeah.
swim lessons.
it's gnarly.
But
Now, again,
there is peace of mind that comes
Of
with
course.
knowing that your kids are solid when it comes to the pool and water safety. And if they ever fell in somewhere, they just swim right over to the side.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about
Do you
it.
guys remember swim lessons?
no,
I don't
I do.
remember.
I took swim lessons when I was a kid.
I don't know that I did take
I don't
them.
think I did either.
And I ended
I
up.
don't think they existed.
No, well, they,
I'm not
they
a
definitely
good
existed.
swimmer, but I can swim. Like if you throw me in water, I will survive.
I'm a good swimmer.
Neither of you were in San Diego at the very young age,
Right.
though. And I think it was
Yes, we know.
fairly common
We're
here.
born here.
Was it common here?
I think it was pretty common. Everyone that I remember took swim lessons at a very young age here.
Look, I'm not morally opposed to swim lessons. Swim lessons, I think, ultimately are a good thing. 4 nights a week. At the end of the year, like the holiday season, when it's like, hey, let's relax a little bit. Let's be with the family. No, not happening. 4 days a week. No, she's great. She's great. The kids got in last night.
It's
They
an
had the
odd
first session.
time of the year in that you'll finish with the 4 weeks, and there's probably not going to be a lot of practicing going on until next
Thank you.
summer.
Yes. So it's almost like we probably should have just waited until swim season was upon us again to do it. But again, my wife finds idle time to be the devil's plaything. And if there's idle time, she's like, well, what can we do? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe we spend time together as a family. Maybe we spend time on our own. Maybe I read a book. Maybe I work on my radio show. It's anything that we can do. I'm telling you, man, she looks at us and says, you guys look way too comfortable there. I'm going to book something. I'm going to find an activity for everybody to do. And I don't like that very much. I don't like it very much at all. And in fact, I'm fighting back on this one. I'm not. I'm going to end up going, and the kids like it and all that. But Ben, you make a great point. As soon as this thing's over in 4 weeks, the only person they know with a pool is their grandmother, and their grandmother's pool is about 60 degrees. They're not going to want to go in it.
Exactly.
So we're not going to go to the ocean. They will not go to the beach and get in the water and be like, Dad, look at me swim now. It's not
No
happening.
one's going to do that in December anyway.
Correct.
so.
Very few.
Unless you're a surfer and
a
you got a
surfer
wetsuit.
and you're hardcore, right? So what are we doing? Again, idle time, the devil's plaything. So we had that little headbutt last night, and of course, I acquiesced and went along, and I'll take one, you take the other, and we'll get them all dialed in their warm clothes and everything. But it really eats up about an hour, which is not terrible. But it's just like having to go somewhere when your day is done, and then you have to reload the key. You get everybody home, and you're like, All right, let's reload the car. Get the bags packed. Get the towels. Make sure you bring the bag for the wet clothes. Get the dry clothes out. Come on, no. Get your shoes on. No, yes, we're going swimming. I know it's 4:30. Let's go.
I know you. You'll do the swim lessons. You'll stop by Jersey Mike's every day on the way home. Get your sandwich. It'll be fine. You'll make it through.
We will make it through for the next 4 weeks. We had another argument last night because I might be having a slight midlife crisis. Just a slight one. I've had so many in my life. I'm not going to go full bore Corvette, leaving my wife for a younger woman.
Midlife crises
I think
equal a normal midlife crisis.
I think you don't want to have a major one. I worry what a major midlife crisis would look like for you, Woods.
I mean, I've had so many. I've had so many in my life that you don't want one of those. You guys don't want one of those. I'm not anywhere close to that, so you're good. But it's actually a little embarrassing to admit, and I shouldn't be embarrassed. If I was convicted about it, I wouldn't be embarrassed. I went to the concert on Saturday night, and at Dia de los Deftones. And the band that opened for Deftones, the one that went on right before them, was a band called Idols. And I really loved them, and they really just blew my mind. And the singer came out, and he looked so cool. And he was stalking around the stage, and they're British, and he's got the British voice, and make some noise, let's split the crowd down the middle. You here. I'm into the whole thing. God, this is rad. And I looked up, and they had him on the monitor, and I went, oh, dude, he looks cool. Well, he bleached his hair, and he looked rad. And I thought to myself, now I'm fairly conservative looking, right? I only have one crap tattoo that I got a long time ago. It's terrible. I'm embarrassed by it. It's a sun on my shoulder. I hate it. I don't dress super. I think this is Lululemon, right?
You dress for comfort most of the time.
Yeah, comfort. But I said, I think I want to do that. And I pitched it to my wife yesterday, and she said no. And I said, please. And she said, absolutely not. And I said, I'm begging you at this point. Let me do it. I want to do it. And she said, no. And so now guess what I want to do? I want to do it more.
You want to look like the lead singer
from
for
Idols.
But you're going to end up looking like Billy Idol.
Paulie, I'm going to send you the picture.
From the Workday commercial.
I do. He looks like he's lived pretty hard. Yeah. Okay, so somebody said Eminem Woods. It doesn't look like Eminem. It wouldn't look like Eminem. I think it looks pretty cool. Carlos says I can pull it off. Nate says it's so 90s. It's coming back, though. I'm telling you, this guy looks badass.
There he is with like a little pink in it.
Yeah, he had a little pink in his at one point.
To me,
that's cool.
Now he looks cool. There's no doubt about it.
He looks cool as hell, doesn't he?
He's a decade younger than you.
Yep.
He's got tats all over the place. And that haircut, I think, is a very expensive haircut. I think he really went to a top stylist. You're going to have to find the right person if you're going to even want to try to pull off this look. Plus, his beard looks very naturally dark. You have a lot of gray in
Nate,
it. Now, are you gonna dye the beard dark to have the true contrast between the blonde hair and the dark beard?
This is great. I knew this was going to happen. Nate says he's 100 pounds less. Nate, I'm 220 pounds. You absolute a-hole.
He might be 120 pounds.
Then Zach says, Google Fat Mike from NoFX. It looks like Woods with bleach-colored hair. Oh. I hate everyone. He didn't go to Sport Cuts. No, he didn't. All right. Now that she says I can't do it, I'm going to do it. Look how cool that looks. You're right, though. The dark beard makes all the difference. All right, don't be surprised if you see me. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to probably end up doing it myself and look like a real idiot.
Doing it yourself?
My hair falls out. All right, we'll see what happens. Paulie. It's got to be done right. That is Jonah Hill from 21 Jump Street.
His Eminem era. His Marshall Mathers.
Yeah, you guys are making. I think you might be talking me out of it, but I don't know. All right, I won't do it myself if I do it. I will pay to.
That's
get
what
it
foreplay is for.
Yeah,
life decisions. et cetera, et cetera.
I'm dead.
All right, it is Election Day. We will be hopefully a 4-hour respite for you before the rest of whatever transpires today in our country. We'll try to just have a good time. Not a huge list of things that we have to get to today, which means it could actually be a pretty fun and loose show. We'll set the menu when we come back. Getting things started. Paul Rindle, Stephen Woods, Ben Higgins, Kelly Danick's got her traffic, and then we'll be right back with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Is AJ Preller still not loved by his peers in Major League Baseball? We will discuss the general manager of the San Diego Padres, and the GM meetings have a wrap-up of day one coming up at the bottom of the hour. There were some headlines already from the world of baseball, a lot of contract decisions, and a very unusual transpiration of events with the New York Yankees and Gerrit Cole yesterday, which we can discuss about the first day. But I am curious because remember when he started his career as general manager of the Padres. There certainly was the thought that maybe around the league that AJ Preller wasn't the most popular guy among his colleagues. Do you remember that, Woods?
Yeah, and he got in some trouble pretty fairly early in his career with Major League Baseball. And
the medical records.
The medical records.
Yeah,
and
there was a prospect thing in the Dominican, getting like a try. Like they brought some people to another island for a tryout. I guess you weren't supposed to do that.
It's fairly innocuous stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of organizations and GMs have a couple of infractions on their record. It's not totally uncommon in the sport.
I can't relate. 15 years in this business, not one single infraction. Pretty amazing. You too, right? It's like never been in any trouble.
Anyway, they announced the Executive of the Year award last night, and it wasn't AJ Preller, and that surprised me. It was
we are also massive homers that live in a silo.
Yeah.
So
the winner, and it was a vote of peers. Each organization has a vote, and they picked Matt Arnold, the general manager of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Like Fat Arnold.
The Brewers were a good surprise team in Major League Baseball and won their division. I'm not saying that it's like an outrageous choice. Just feels like the AJ Preller had to make a lot more moves. Everything worked out well for the Brewers. Lost their manager, still ended up winning their division, and they had a couple nice signings. What did they get? Rhys Hoskins and a couple of things that worked out well for them. But to me, it felt like if anyone was GMing his butt off this last year, it was AJ Preller, like fairly clearly around the league. The volume of moves, the success of those moves. If that wasn't the year that AJ Preller is going to win Executive of the Year in Major League Baseball, cutting payroll by $90+ million, increasing your win total by 11 from the previous season, pulling off two of the biggest trades to acquire two very prominent, successful players, one who throws a no-hitter, one who wins a third straight batting title. If that's not going to get you Executive of the Year, maybe you're just never going to win it from your peers, and they just don't like the way you operate.
Yeah, I thought if there was going to be a year where he won that, it was obviously going to be this one. Anytime a team's got to cut $90 million and you win more games that season than you've ever won before, I'd say that's a pretty good case that you make when you trade a Juan Soto away and get really good pieces in return that help you go out and really compete for the NL West, really up to the very end. And the NL West, let's make no mistake, is certainly a tougher division than the NL Central.
Quite a bit.
And I'm reading over what's his name?
Matt Arnold.
I'm reading over some of his moves and his resume this year. Obviously, you lose Craig Counsell to the Cubs, and you make a smart hire by hiring Pat Murphy.
But you're just promoting from within.
Correct.
I mean, you made the easy hire.
You did the extension for Jackson Chourio, 8 years, $82 million. Good deal for them. Really, really good player, exciting player, cornerstone guy.
Padres also had a great prospect named Jackson who came up and did well for them this year.
Yep, that was an AJ Preller move, certainly. Yep. Rhys Hoskins was signed. Let's see. Corbin Burns traded to the Baltimore Orioles for DL Hall, Joey Ortiz. And Ortiz was a major contributor for them. And then this is interesting. Among the biggest in-season moves were a pair of trades for right-handers Aaron Savali and Frankie Montas, both of whom combined to bolster a starting rotation in need of both consistency and depth. So a lot of lower profile, yet still important moves as well. They did win their division, again, albeit
they won
weaker,
the easy. And the Padres, they had the exact same record, 93 and 69.
Yep.
Padres played in a much, much tougher division to do so. And AJ just, in terms of, he just had way more big moves, cut more payroll. I mean, to me, if you're comparing column A to column B, it's not really that close.
Yeah.
AJ Preller had a much better year as general manager.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from Matt Arnold. So the only explanation that I can see for AJ not winning Executive of the Year is that, his peers, his colleagues, whatever, kind of have a grudge against him. They don't like the way he operates. Obviously, we know Major League Baseball is not a fan of the way the Padres have done their business
Absolutely
the last few years, and driving up probably prices and expectations for other small markets. Everyone's like, yeah, don't show everybody that you can actually do this. We like our narrative that, hey, we're in a smaller market. We can't spend. We can't, try to put a winning product on the field. That's financially irresponsible. And the Padres have thumbed their nose at that and made some enemies, clearly, in Major League Baseball along the way. I don't think that's conspiracy theory. I don't think that's just me.
It's been spoken.
It's been spoken, yes.
Yeah, Dick Manfart said last year, you can't do it this way. You just can't do it this way. And Dick chose not to do it that way and pocketed a lot more money from the Colorado Rockies than other owners do. So it's absolutely true. I thought that. Honestly, man, I thought this was a no-brainer. I really did. And again,
that's my point here.
The no-brainer part of trading Juan Soto and winning more games than you ever have before, having to rebuild a starting rotation with the guys that you got, having to weather the Yu Darvish situation, having to weather the Joe Musgrove situation. Yeah, man.
Just the pickup of Martin Perez alone should put you in the running for Executive of the Year and how that worked
Peralta,
out.
Solano, all those guys.
I mean, take Matt Arnold's moves, multiply them by 6, and you get the year that AJ Preller had. I don't really can find a logical explanation as to why he didn't win the award.
Yeah, other than maybe personal.
That's all I can think of.
Sure, I bet he feels like he got robbed, but he'd never admit it.
I doubt he cares. He's our Executive of the Year this year. I think he absolutely deserves it. Did a great job this year, and now he's got to do it again. He's got once again a very difficult set of circumstances. Moves to make, roles to fill this offseason, and he has to do it all over again, which. He was quoted in the UT going, "This is the fun part of the job." To me, that would be the absolute hardest part of the job, knowing I just did this for a whole year, did it great, put it all together, and I can't just sit here and go, okay, now just roll out that same team next year. No, I've got to pretty much tear it down and rebuild, all the other pieces that I did. And if I don't get it right again, we're going to lose more games. We may miss the playoffs. I got to get it right again this year. It's a tough job. There's no doubt about it.
And that's the job. And let's talk about that article that came out yesterday in the UT. We can talk about that and a couple other things.
All right, we will we'll talk about baseball's general managers meetings coming up in our next segment. There was a good Monday Night Football game last night that went overtime, including a interesting decision by the Tampa Bay Bucks at the end of regulation. We can talk about that at 7 o'clock. Play some Take on Woods. Chance to win more tickets to Tom Segura coming to Pechanga Arena this Friday. Don't do this. More baseball talk again. Trying to keep it fun and loose on a day where it feels like everybody's a little tight around these parts. And by these parts, I mean this entire country.
You've made me a little tight because I looked at our DMs this morning on X. And you're not super active on X as far as sending stuff to the Ben and Woods account. But I opened up our X account, checked the DMs this morning, and there was a DM from Ben Higgins DMing it to the show's account. And it was a clip of Dave Roberts on the Mookie Betts podcast. What are you wanting to accomplish with that?
Ben, you do a great job.
I thought we might want to play it because it was relevant to the San Diego Padres.
You want to play the Dave Roberts Mookie Betts podcast on our radio
because
program.
It's relevant to the San Diego Padres. Because
they mentioned the Padres. We can't do that. We're going to break that cycle. We have to break that cycle.
Beat it out of you.
We may have to literally beat it out of you.
So you don't think we should talk Padres?
I have a bat right here. No, let's talk Padres.
This is something we can talk Padres about.
We already know that we were their World Series. We know that. They said it. We know it. How many times do we need to beat it in everyone's head? We get it. We were close. We didn't get it. I don't want to play Mookie Betts podcast on our radio show. Just like I didn't want to have Dave Roberts fill in for me when I wasn't here.
We played it a couple of weeks ago when Fernando Tatis Jr. was on.
We were still in it. We're out of it. They won. We lost. We're not doing this. Come on. This is why Paulie. This is why you're lucky I'm your president. You too, Tier 1s. Under his leadership. I've already won the debate. But under his leadership, we'd be listening to the Mookie Betts Dave Roberts podcast on this radio show today. Just
I'm
so
proud
you know.
to be a tier 1.
Thank you, Paulie. Thank you for being part of the administration. Thank you to
Wasn't
the
going to
tier
play the
ones.
whole thing, just a few seconds. I mean,
The one that says, yeah, the Padres are really tough. You want that little hit, don't you? That little bump. You want that little,
so actually,
the Padres.
and I know we're playing the music to go to break.
Really kill you.
I kind of wonder if the Dodgers are actually secretly rubbing it in the way
think
you
they
would
are.
be rubbing
I think
it
they
in.
are.
I
And
think
this
they
is
might
all
be.
psychological.
I think they might be.
They are, dude. They absolutely are.
You know, Dave said a lot of interesting things
yeah.
that I guess we won't be talking about.
Correct.
On the program today.
Let them play it on Petros and Money. We don't play it here.
We'll wrap up the first day of the general managers meetings next here with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Are you ready for a small dose of Ben's outrage this morning?
Oh.
It's something that hasn't even really happened yet.
I love it. Oh, you fake like outrage about something down the road?
Exactly.
I love this. I do this all the time. My wife gets so mad at me.
And I saw it yesterday. It was a move that was announced yesterday in Major League Baseball that I looked at it, and it just kind of started making my hair stand on end. Like, this is going to bother me. And I will tell you what it is coming up.
I'm titillated.
We will also talk about the very unusual circumstances with Gerrit Cole and the Yankees. The Yankees had a chance.
I've never seen anything like that.
Yankees had a chance to do something really funny, and they kind of didn't, and let Gerrit Cole off the hook.
I am blown away with what I saw, and we've all got theories on what happened, but this was truly amazing.
So we will we'll talk about day one of the baseball general managers meetings right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by SDG&E. Well, guys, we still have this crash southbound 15 before the 56. It's a rollover accident, and emergency crews got that right lane blocked. And a crash involving a couple vehicles on the Euclid Avenue off-ramp of eastbound King Freeway. In peak wildfire season, as a last resort, SDG&E may need to shut off power in specific areas for public safety. Learn more about public safety power shutoffs at sdge.com/PSPS. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So maybe I'm getting up in arms over a lot of nothing here, but among the minor headlines yesterday from day one of the MLB general managers meetings was the news that the LA Dodgers had declined, or Clayton Kershaw had declined his $10 million player option for next season with the Dodgers, electing to become a free agent.
Okay.
But as part of that story, it was also stated that Kershaw is expected to then re-sign with the Dodgers for next season.
Oh, I see where you're going here.
I can't imagine that he's going to get more than $10 million coming after, an injury-plagued season in which he barely, took the mound at all for the LA Dodgers, which means he basically is giving the Dodgers a free pass to underpay him next year.
Correct.
Like, he's telling them, I know I wasn't worth $10 million, so you can go ahead and sign me for whatever.
$4 million.
$4 million, what I'm more worth. Now, what agent in the world would ever say to his client, all right, you've got a $10 million option. They can't do anything about it. If you say yes, the Dodgers will owe you $10 million next year. Now, you can turn it down. We'll hit free agency, but we're not going to get that in the market. You're obviously, 36. You're coming off a huge injury. I don't see you getting a long-term deal. This $10 million is probably the best you're going to get. And he goes, well, I really want to stay with the Dodgers, but I'm going to say no and just let them pay me whatever they think I'm worth.
I see what you're saying here.
Why did the Dodgers get a pass of, not having to pay, whatever his contract says he was going to get paid?
$10 million. Because you ask, how does an agent say that to his client? Well, his client has made, in his career, $296 million in his career. He's good. whether it's $4 million, whether it's the league minimum. You know, I was talking to some buddies yesterday, one of whom is actually an agent. And I was texting with them. We were talking about the Gerrit Cole situation. And I said, I think the Yankees would be foolish. They can afford it. You got to pick up the option if that's what their ace wants to do. And one of my guys hit me back with, how much is enough, right? It's the whole premise of Jerry Maguire. The whole premise of that movie is, how much is enough? Like, shouldn't the love of the game and the passion for the city or the wanting to be on a team, like, I don't want to take that away from Clayton Kershaw. He's got
God, go back to when you were young.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't about the money. It was about playing for your team, right?
Yeah, and so I'm reading this going, Kershaw's got a 15-year career. Do you really think, though, Benny? Let's say the Dodgers save $6 million, which is literally chump change to them. $6 million. I mean, honestly, for me, the way I look at it is, you guys want to use up a roster spot on Clayton Kershaw next year? Go ahead. I don't care if you pay him $1 million.
Well, now they don't
pay him
have
10.
to. At least, all off season, they don't have to worry about his roster spot.
Well,
they don't have to worry about his luxury tax implications. It's not just the money. Obviously, they can afford whatever they want to afford,
right.
But it can put them over the first apron, second apron, third apron. There's draft pick penalties. Clayton Kershaw could be helping them with all of these things under no obligation to do so.
I feel like you're jealous because you wish we had guys that would do the same thing, because that's my read. That's how I feel.
I just don't. I know that the Players Association would not approve of such behavior. Now, if Clayton Kershaw ends up signing for more than $10 million with the Dodgers, then mea culpa. I didn't see that happening, and I thought, why would you turn down guaranteed money in order to become a free agent to go back to the team for less than they were going to pay you already? It was like, Wandy Peralta. Fine. He opted in for 4.25. Probably doesn't deserve that. Should have said, I'm electing free agency. I'll come back for $2 million next year.
Right.
That would be a good and honorable thing. Wandy's made a bunch of money in his career. Did he do that? No, because that would be stupid. You signed the contract.
Move.
That's the contract you signed. The team owes you that money. That's the contract Clayton Kershaw signed. That's the money that the Dodgers owe them. Let's not play games and get around it. You signed him to that contract. That's the money he deserves and is, entitled to get from his organization.
Yeah, and I mean, look, what they can do with him, what they did with him last year, as Satan's Blowfish points out, they can sign him last second, leave a spot open for him all summer, and when he's ready to pitch, he can pitch. Is it illegal? No. Is it a workaround? Sure. Do you need those kind of players on your team? We all laud the guys in the NFL that do it, the restructures and this and that. And yeah, man, I mean, look, if it's me, if you think we can win a World Series, restructure the hell out of me. I'll figure it out. I've made my money. I want to make some more down the road. Restructure me. But you have to have the right players that want to do that. And look, they're smart about how they handle their business. Now, he's not the only one, though. He's not the only one on that team. Bro, I'm telling you, Jack Flaherty will come back to that team for half of what he could make in the open market.
We know what Shohei Ohtani's already done with his deferrals.
Of course.
And yes, there is an element of bitter Padres fan in me.
There is.
But the Dodgers have every advantage in baseball already. And now they have their players just heaping more advantages on them. In addition to the ones they already have in terms of market, TV, international appeal, everything they've already got in an advantage of, and their players are going, you know what, let's see if we can give you a little more behind-the-scenes advantages as well.
Adam is salivating right now hearing this. I mean, this is a general manager's dream.
Well, and so you and I, Woods, we were talking off the air yesterday about something similar to this we might get into later, but at what point do these players cross that line of manipulating their contracts so much that they're impacting the younger players and the future players that are trying to work towards money, big money contracts?
It's a good point. So I made that point to my agent friend yesterday and said, okay, if so-and-so he really wants to be a Brave, or a Jackson Merrill really wants to be a Padre, and he loves it, and he says, okay, yeah, I'll sign that Ozzie Albies deal. Of course we're excited. And of course AJ Preller's excited. Of course the ownership's excited because we just got an elite player for 7 years and $12 million. Like, is that good for Ozzie Albies? No, it's way undervalued. And what does it do to the next second baseman? It kind of sets the market a little bit lower. There's people that do it in our business, and it murders you. It murders you. You know, it's like, no,
Think about
dude.
like Gerrit Cole, if you were to opt out and then just be like, you know what, I know I'm a $35-40 million a year type pitcher. I'll do it for $18 million a year
Sure.
and
Now,
help
see,
the team
Tom
out.
Brady is a perfect example.
But then
of
you got a
this.
guy like Michael King who's like, hey, bro, I don't have $150 million in
right.
the bank yet.
So-
I'm hoping to get that big contract. I'm hoping to be a $30 million a year. And when you're lowering the market down to $30 million guys are now $20 million
But
guys.
there's tiers, right? Because Michael King's not quite Gerrit Cole yet, and Gerrit Cole got his big payday. And you're right, man. When they get to the end of their careers and they're like, I'll take less to be on a winner, or I'll take less to help restructure the payroll for us to win. I think that's an admirable thing to do.
Is.
I think it is admirable.
But it's like a double-edged sword.
But you also have to get fair market value for the players that are coming behind you. The other young pitchers in the game, the Sandy Alcantaras and guys like that, like they need their payday too someday.
Janine mentioned Tony Gwynn, and we deify Tony for taking the San Diego discount, being loyal to San Diego, as we should. But there's absolutely a negative side of that to his fellow players to accept less than he is worth. And we really need to stop praising players for taking less than their value and villainizing players for trying to maximize their value.
And
as
what I see is there needs to be some sort of happy medium, because the villainization of Juan Soto right now is absurd. It's absurd. Oh, he just wants his money. Oh, bro, that guy has earned that money. That's his money. Like he bet on himself. He's been traded. You know, and twice. Now he's able to go out and get his bag. Whatever you do in life, go out and try to get what you can and don't ever settle for less than you're worth. Ever. I mean, it sucks when you have to sign a prove it deal, and I've signed them. It is not a fun year to go in there on a pittance, you know, and go, all right, I'll show you. You know, I'll show you what I'm made of. But it's not a fun thing to do when you're doing something and you're not getting paid fair market value. That's tough, and especially in baseball, because you got 100 other people. You got 500 other people going, "Hey, thanks a lot, dude. Thanks a lot. I know you really wanted to be a Philly, but now my team's coming to me going, well, look what he did. Right. Yeah. It's tough."
Yesterday, I made the prediction that if the Yankees would decline Gerrit Cole's option, they wouldn't bring him back for that extra year. They would not want to pay an aging pitcher another guaranteed $36 million. I was sort of right and I was sort of wrong. So after Gerrit Cole declined, turned down his option, became a free agent, and put the Yankees to the test, are you going to pick up that year? The Yankees said, no, we're not going to pick up that year. And then Gerrit Cole said, well,
I was just kidding.
I don't really want to leave, so what do we do now? And the Yankees said, well, we'll let you back on the same deal you were on before. And Gerrit Cole, in like the fastest fold you've ever seen, said, okay, fine, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And we will just sign that same exact deal that I was on 5 minutes ago.
And I'll tell you what, man, I don't care what you say. That's a negative check mark for Scott Boras in the first day of free agency. Already, you're looking at this going, bro, you blew it last year. You got a lot of pissed off clients in Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell and guys like that. And this one, you advise, you know damn well he advised, all right, take the opt-out. Bro, and then what happens, Cashman goes, fine, we're not picking it up. And Cole's like, dude, I want to stay here. I'm a Yankee. I have a house in Greenwich that is 75,000 square feet. My kids are here. I'm a Yankee. Remember my sign? Yankee now and forever. Do you remember that? It's $36 million, Scott. They've said they're not going to pick it up. I don't want to be an Oriole. I don't want to be a Philly. I want to be here. And Scott goes, okay, takes his hat off, puts it in his hand, walks back into Brian Cashman's office. Can you just let us out of this? Fine, I'll let you out of it. I mean, he's lost the juice, dude. The juice is gone.
Brandon in the chat says, wasn't that Manny's point a couple of years ago? He intended to exercise his opt-out because it would have been the right thing to do to help the peers in his game. The game. That was our interview with him at spring training.
You know who appreciates that? Every third baseman in baseball.
100%.
Every single
but
one.
It's such a fine line of wanting to be
and looking
the right, do the right thing, be the good teammate, try to help the team win. But also, you do have some responsibility when you're talking that kind of money.
And I know it's more money than any of us will ever sniff in our whole lives, and I totally get it. But it is what it is. That's where the market is. But sometimes with these guys, man, Gerrit Cole, now he's made a ton of money, but some of these younger guys, they have it, and they blow out their elbow, and they have this is what they do for a living. Get your money while you can. I'm in favor of it.
I think Gerrit Cole and Scott Boras should be thanking their lucky stars
because the
Yankees were well within their rights to
just say walk.
Fine, we're going to devote that money toward Juan Soto and Corbin Burns. We appreciate your service to the New York Yankees, but we're not going to pay you for ages 35, 36, 37, 38, and 39. Go find that money somewhere else, because guess what? He wasn't going to. And the Yankees let him off the hook a little bit. And
well, when one of the 3 teams in baseball that overpays for players says, we're not going to do it. And then you look to the West Coast. Well, Gerrit, maybe you want to go pitch for the Dodgers. Well, they have 40 starting pitchers already. They're good. And the Padres probably aren't going to be swinging deals for guys like me. I'm pretty much out of it. Unless Dombrowski wants to pay me $35 a year, which I don't think he does. And I don't really want to move to Philly. I want it to be a Yankee. Again, remember my sign, Yankee now and forever. I think Scott Boras, man, I think he just continues to overplay his hand. It's crazy.
Hat tip to Pointer Dave, who said the only thing Gerrit Cole opted out for is covering first base.
That's true. That is true.
All right, we'll come back. Interesting ending to the Monday Night Football game last night. There's definitely 2 different opinions about it. Also play some Take on Woods coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan. We'll get back to some baseball talk and discuss Padres moves, non-moves after the first day of baseball's general managers meetings coming up at 7:35 this morning. Got to take on Woods in a couple of minutes. Chance to win some tickets to Tom Segura. Did have an interesting Monday Night Football game last night. The Kansas City Chiefs, football's only remaining unbeaten team, has not been an overwhelming dominant team, but they've managed to win every single game. And they once again put themselves in position in a close game again yesterday. They trailed 17-10 to the Tampa Bay Bucks entering the fourth quarter. Patrick Mahomes did one of his Patrick Mahomes specials where he runs to the line, flips it underhand to Samaje Perine to tie the game. Looked like maybe a serious injury for Patrick Mahomes on that play. He was kind of rolling around on his ankle, had to be helped all the way across the field, but miraculously, as he kind of got to the sideline, he started looking better and did not end up missing a single play. Went back, led Kansas City on a second straight touchdown drive. DeAndre Hopkins, his newest target, second touchdown of the game. They take a 24-17 lead, but they were unable to finish the deal. They were forced to punt, and Tampa Bay got the ball back and drove down and scored a touchdown with 27 seconds left on the clock. So it's 24-23 Kansas City, and the Bucks have the decision to make. Do you go for one in the tie, or do you go for two and the lead? On the road, a rainy night in Kansas City against an unbeaten team that was favored to beat you. Todd Bowles, the coach of the Bucks, went with the 1-point decision, and they made the kick, and it went to overtime. But the Chiefs won the coin toss, went right down the field, scored on a Kareem Hunt 2-yard touchdown run. Game over. Bucks never touched the ball. 30-24. Chiefs remain unbeaten. And of course, you had a lot of second guessing after the game as to why didn't you go for two and just have a chance to win it in regulation and not go to overtime against the Kansas City Chiefs.
It's one of those weird spots for a head coach to where it's not enough points. It could give you the win. It could, but it's not going to put the game away, right? So 37 seconds left. A field goal wins it.
27.
I'm sorry,
not a lot of time.
27.
Not a lot of time.
Three timeouts.
But they got all their timeouts. So
Yep.
they're going to be able to run maybe 5, even 6 plays if they're efficient.
And get into field goal range.
Let's assume it's a touchback on the kickoff. They start at the 20.
Or the 25, yeah.
25. So they need to get 25. They need to get 30 yards.
Yep.
In 27
We've
seconds
seen
with 3
Patrick
timeouts.
Mahomes in, what was it, in that playoff game? He had like 13 seconds and got them like 40 yards down the field and kicked a field goal. He's done it before. He's done it many times before. It sounds like you kind of agree with me. I defended the decision to go for one because of the time left. Now, Todd Bowles could have done a better job in bleeding the clock at the end and not leaving the Chiefs with any time. Like, score that touchdown in the last 10 seconds. You don't have to worry about that field goal and that comeback at the end. But it's tough to do. They ended up calling a timeout with 33 seconds left. They didn't have to. But, again, you don't want your team all of a sudden panicking and running out of time. So you've got that interesting decision. But
there is.
I think my point was, I know that if I make the two, if I miss the two, I've lost the game. Unless I get an onside kick, which is unlikely. If I make the two, I've got the lead, but I haven't won the game. Correct. And I have now put the Kansas City Chiefs in a position where they have to be ultra aggressive, a situation where they have been extremely successful, even with 27 seconds, getting the ball 30 yards to their big-legged kicker, Harrison Butker, who was making it from 62 in warm-ups. So all they have to do is get it to basically the 45 across midfield to have a good chance to beat me. So they go for one, and it actually did play out the way that he kind of wanted it to. Kansas City they were more conservative because they didn't want to turn it over and lose it in regulation.
Yep.
Ended up with a 4th and 1 at like the 39. Like, obviously, if you're down one, that's an easy go for it. You're only 20 yards plus away from a field goal to win it. You go for it. You probably make it. You have a chance to win that game. They had to punt because you can't turn it over on downs, and they had the chance in overtime. They lost the coin flip. That's out of their control. Kansas City went down and did what Kansas City did. I can see it both. I can see it both ways. I really can.
There is something to psychologically about battling back and then tying the game. There's just something you never know what can happen. You take your chances in overtime and think, hey man, Patrick Mahomes, we got to win the coin toss. And if we lose it, hey, man, we're still in this thing. You live to fight another play. If you don't get that 2-point conversion, game's over. And I understand it's a ballsy call, man. You're on the road. But again, leaving them 27 seconds, 3 timeouts, you have to factor that in, that they could march down the field and kick the game-winning field goal anyway. So you kind of live to fight another play, which I understand. Now, it does bring into question, it's pretty ridiculous that both teams don't get a shot in overtime.
What needs to happen for the NFL to change that rule?
Here's what you do.
Like, they're not immune to change.
They love change. Just bang overtime. Just bang it. You get a tie, you get a tie.
No one likes ties.
Of course, man. Oh, nope. Well, then it behooves
Go to
you.
college rules.
Then what is Todd Bowles going to do there?
Well, if
What's
there was
Todd
no
Bowles gonna
overtime,
do? He's going for 2.
I would think Todd Bowles would be more than happy to take a tie on the road. That's a win.
Okay, so
that's a win.
But you
on
just
the
said
road
nobody likes ties.
No, but if you're looking,
really don't like losses.
if you're looking at the analytics of it, and you look at your schedule and go, we have to go to Kansas City on Monday Night Football in November. Well, I'd take a tie in that one. Absolutely, I'd take a tie and walk away pretty happy about my team and what they got done.
You either do it like college, which I understand why you don't. Okay, I understand you don't want these guys playing more football late in games. You don't. It's a safety thing, but college football overtime is superior. It just is. It's superior. It's a superior product. Either you bang it all together and we only play 4 quarters, and if you get a tie, you get a tie, and it goes in the standings as a tie, which sucks, but you got to figure it out. I think it'll change the way the game is played. I think it'll change the aggressiveness
Can we
of
not
teams.
at least do overtime? If the team wins the coin toss, they go down and score. The other team still gets a drive to at least tie it with a score, or go for 2.
You could, but then now you're committing teams to basically 10-minute full overtimes, because the Chiefs needed almost 6 minutes to score. If Tampa then gets the ball and has to go for a touchdown, so they're going for it on 4th down, they're probably using the entire clock. They're trying to avoid these 10 long minute overtimes by making the rules the way that they do. Ultimately, Woods, a tie would be the most fair, competitive way to decide it. But this is entertainment, and people want to be entertained. And guess what? Overtime, whatever format you choose, is entertaining. It's compelling. It gives people stuff to talk about. Make those tough decisions. You have to make those hard calls and see what happens. It was much more fun to see those teams play overtime than have it just end in a tie and they all go shake hands at the end of the game, and no one's really happy with it.
Listen, I hate ties. I hate them. But if you're just going to do a coin flip anyway, what's the point? And you can still tie in the NFL, right?
You can at the end of the 10 minutes. Yeah.
It's not like it doesn't exist. Either give both teams a shot. It's just such a tired argument.
College overtime in the NFL would be fine.
Yeah.
You're not doing full field drives.
Right.
It's at the 25 or whatever.
I mean, but is that the right way to do it for two teams that have just duked it out and busted their tail and they're tied? You throw everybody on the 25?
And I've heard this argument before. You mess with the statistics in terms of guys have clauses in their contracts with touchdowns. All of a sudden, you play back and forth 4 overtimes, final score 68-67, and someone scores 5 touchdowns in the game. Fantasy football implications, all of a sudden, oh yeah, my guy scored 5 touchdowns in that game because he had 3 of them in the overtime period. Changes the dynamic of pro football quite a bit if you played the college-style overtime.
I mean, it does, certainly, and I would hate to gamble on those games. I'll tell you that right now. You'd be a nervous wreck, but it is what it is. It's not a good system the way that it currently is.
It all comes down, like you just said, the entertainment factor, though. You telling me if those 2 teams duking it out in 4 overtimes from the 25-yard line wouldn't be entertaining?
It would be very entertaining, but they would also potentially die and be very injured, and then you'd lose, some of your star players because they're playing an entire 5th quarter, essentially. And if they just keep trading blows back and forth, I don't know, man. I think the health needs to be taken into consideration there. It is the NFL. I don't know how concerned they are with it, but it certainly would take a special breed to get out there and do it again. Trade blows, touchdown, over and over until somebody won.
Huge game for Travis Kelce last night. Chiefs are now 14 wins in a row, dating back to the playoffs last Christmas, was the last time the Kansas City Chiefs lost a game. If you want to play Take on Woods, you can call in now, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Today is also the NFL trade deadline, one of the few actual sports things on the calendar for today. I believe it's 1 o'clock our time, 4 o'clock East Coast time. Already had a couple of trades this morning.
The Lions added Zadarius Smith
from the Browns.
He's I know Dan Campbell was kind of talking last week about
have to replace Aiden Hutchinson, who got hurt earlier this season. Lions having a great start to their year, so they're going for it for sure.
Love
bolstering
that for them.
And I think the Bears traded Khalil Herbert, running back, to the Bengals so far this morning.
Cleveland also traded Amari Cooper.
That was
last week.
Yeah.
Earlier, okay, to the Bills.
Yeah, the Browns are out of it. There,
DeAndre Hopkins last night. I know he had the 2 touchdown catches. The catch he made.
Oh, Cowboys getting Jonathan Mingo from the Panthers, wide receiver, as well this morning.
Did you see the catch that he made in triple coverage?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Like we were walking.
Why do you even throw that ball? There's three guys on you.
We were walking out of the studio yesterday, and I go, "The Chiefs don't have any receivers." And Ben goes, "Well, they've got the washed-up DeAndre Hopkins, and he was a beast last night. He was a beast.
He was. All right, so it looks like we got a couple people calling in. Let's play it. It's time for Take on Woods. All right, looks like we got James on the line. James, good morning. How are you?
Good morning and happy belated birthday.
Thank you very much. Take on Woods is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Woods tells you all about it. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. And you're playing for an instant prize today. James, if you beat or tie Woods, we will give you a pair of tickets to see comedian Tom Segura live at Pechanga Arena this Friday night. And we'll even let you choose the category here. We've got This for That. It's all 2-second songs with the word for connecting each song title. We've got 5 one-word song titles that begin with the letters SH. And we've got Lover Not a Fighter, song titles and artists that include the word lover in the name. So This for That, or Lover Not a Fighter. James, what would you like to play?
This for That.
Here we go. It's our 2-second song category. 5 different song titles, all connected by the word for in the middle, F-O-R. You'll have 60 seconds in a 2-second song category every time you need to identify both the song title and the artist to score the point. So 5 2-part questions for you. You go first, Woods goes second, and we'll compare scores. Paul, are you ready with all of our songs?
I am ready.
All right, James. If you don't know one, we can pass. We'll come back to it if there's time left on the clock. 60 seconds. Begins when you hear the first song. The category is This for That. Good luck, James. Let's take on Woods.
Dire Straits, Money for Nothing.
Correct. Song number 2.
Yeah!
That's the Beastie Boys, Fight for Your Right.
Correct. Song number 3.
Finally I figured out, but it took a long, long time.
Pass.
Song number 4.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
That's the Rolling Stones, Sympathy for the Devil.
Correct. Song number 5.
Pass. Go back to
Number 3.
Blues Traveler.
Finally I figured out, but it took a long, long time.
Go back to number 5.
Number 5. Try it again.
All right. Quickly.
Time is up. You got 3, though. Good job, James. It actually wasn't Blues Traveler. It sounded a little Blues Traveler. It's Sister Hazel's All For You. And the last one was the Black Keys' Howlin' For You. Also had Money for Nothing, Dire Straits, Fight for Your Right by the Beastie Boys, and Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones. So 3 is the score to beat. Don't know if that'll be good enough. We'll see. James's score is locked in. Woods doesn't get the category, but he does get to know that we've got an all 2-second song category today. You know how it works, so let's put 60 seconds back on the clock. Woods, your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on James.
Money for Nothing, Dire Straits.
Correct. Song number 2.
Yeah!
You got to fight for your right to party, Beastie Boys.
Correct. Song number 3.
Finally, I
Sympathy for the Devil, Rolling Stones.
Correct. Song number 5.
All right.
That's Howlin' for You, Black Keys.
Correct. Song number 3.
finally I figured out, but it took a
Sing it.
long, long time.
Go to the chorus and
Hard
sing
to
it.
say what it is I see in you. Wonder if I'll always be with you. The hell's the name of the song? Can't remember. Touch My Taint. Sister Hazel.
It's All for You.
All for
by
You.
Sister Hazel. But you did sneak out the 4-3 win over James today. James, nice try,
Admirable.
but Woods gets you this for that. Money for nothing. Fight for your right. All for you. Sympathy for the devil. Howlin' for you.
Went to a Bulls playoff game, and I believe it was in the finals when I was in my Chicago days. And Sister Hazel played the national anthem and the halftime show. So that's how weird it was back then. Was that Sister Hazel came out and played like 3 or 4 songs at half.
All right, James's loss is everybody else's gain. We will have a chance to give away those Tom Segura tickets later in the program to another Tier 1. Stand by for that. First, though, we've got Don't Do This coming up next, Woods.
I can't wait.
You can't wait for... on Jason Kelsey's situation. He addressed it yesterday.
He did address the media.
On the Monday Night Football telecast. So we can get an update on that. And the Bengals player in hot water for, well, spotted where he shouldn't have been spotted. Coming up next with Ben and Woods after traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
All right, I'm going to start, don't do this, with a story that easily could have been a do this.
Yes, it could have been very sweet.
There are elements to a do this story here for Gonzaga. Their longtime head coach, Mark Few, and his son, Joe Few, who is a, end-of-the-bench player on the Bulldogs, walk-on type, guy.
How did he get on that team?
I have no idea. Must have a connection somehow. But anyway, the season opened last night, college basketball season. 6th-ranked Gonzaga absolutely blew the doors off 8th-ranked Baylor.
But they win by 40?
101-63. Gonzaga looks dangerous. They'll be coming to Viejas Arena 2 weeks from yesterday.
Very cool.
To take on the Aztecs. So they've already been put as a number 1 seed by Joe Lunardi. It takes one day. Gonzaga could be a number 1 team in the country before too long. But because of the blowout, Mark Few had an opportunity to get his son into his very first college basketball game, called on him. The crowd in Spokane was so excited. It was like, Lakers fans cheering for Bronny to make a basket. Like, oh, Joe Few is going to get in. He's going to get a chance to score. This is going to be remarkable, right? Do this story. Until, VJ Edgecombe happened of the Baylor Bears. Maybe a little frustration after getting their, heads beaten in all game, but he absolutely poster dunked Joe Few. I mean, as over the top of him, one-handed slam dunk. Joe Few looked like he was dead on the floor at the end of the dunk right there. I mean, it was as bad of a get postered kind of dunk you're gonna see for Joe Few.
It's like me taking Bo out to spring training this year and saying, "Why don't you grab a bat and get in there and get you an AB against Michael King. See how that goes. Let him throw that front hip sweeper at you and just see how you do. Just see how you do.
Joe did get 2 assists, did not score. Apparently alive. Probably going to take a little ribbing from his fellow players.
It's in his locker as we speak right now.
Paulie was making the point that before the show, Joe Few was probably the best player on his high school team, his junior high team, whatever. But there's always that level you get to. I mean, unless you're, an NBA star, you get to that level where finally the competition is a little too much for you.
We're all told.
And that
some of us told at 15, some of us told at 50.
Yeah, that's exactly. But we're all told.
Yeah. Joe Few may have gotten told at like 19 last night.
Next time the
Gonzaga Bulldogs.
Next time the dad wants to get him in a game, does he say I'm good, or does he give you the Carter limp?
Hey,
and say, my ankle's hurt.
You got to bounce back. You can't let that be your final defining moment.
I broke my back.
Yeah, my dad. Sorry, my back is broken. It's spinal. He could have broken his back on that dunk. Spinal. This was a crazy story. Cincinnati Bengals, never immune to some interesting stories from their players, but they had drafted, Benny, from Alabama, Jermaine Burton, a very talented wide receiver. And Jermaine Burton has been implemented into the game plan against the Raiders, I think, last week. Had been implemented into the game plan. And T. Higgins had hurt his quad or his hamstring, and they said, all right, man, this is going to be, we're going to work you in. We like what we've seen so far. Well, they get to the walkthrough on Saturday, and Jermaine Burton, wide receiver for the Bengals, just doesn't show up. Doesn't call, doesn't text. The old no call, no show. As an NFL wide receiver who has been written into the game plan, does not come to the walkthrough. They texted his agent. Agent said, oh, yeah, just maturity issues, and we're working through them. Emotional maturity is something that Nick Saban questioned when he coached him at Alabama. And So they made him inactive for the game. He did not play. And then somebody, of course, saw him hours later in pajamas sitting at a casino playing slot machines.
I saw the picture, and I don't know how long he was at the casino. It looked like he showed up to the game the next day in the same clothes. So maybe he went there that morning, or I'm not sure the timing of it all. But
was he on a heater and just decided not to go to practice?
It's possible.
What do they say? You never walk away from a heater.
It's just a walkthrough. I mean.
But you're playing slots. Like, can you get on a heater playing slots?
So I assumed after seeing that picture, well, he's playing the Raiders. I mean, he's Vegas, obviously.
Right. No.
The game was in Cincinnati. One of those riverboat casinos, I guess, is where he was spotted.
Yeah.
It certainly looked like him.
You could almost understand the allure and the lights, the bright lights of Las Vegas reeling you in.
Sure.
And never letting you go.
There's no clocks anywhere.
Right.
I lost track of time. My bad.
I met a girl.
Learn my lessons.
A place called Spearmint Rhino. She really likes me. And I think I can...
Coach, you don't understand. She really likes me.
Coach, she really likes me. I'm sorry. I won't do this again. But then it was in Cincinnati. So he was like in the Kentucky River or something, gambling on a riverboat. What? So, yeah, don't do this, kid. I mean, you don't want to throw your NFL career away. The no call, no show bit is just inexcusable. I mean, it's just inexcusable. In every job.
Really, in every job.
In every job, take the responsibility. If you're not going to make it, you got to let somebody know. No call, no show is pathetic.
Paul, where's Woods this morning?
No call, no show. Could you imagine?
I mean, bro, I can't even.
Somebody takes a picture of Woods at 7 Mile
Casino.
Casino.
Yeah, 7 Mile Casino. Sorry. But see, the difference is I would text you guys and be like, I'm on a heater. I'm up 10 grand. I'm not walking away. Start the show without me. I'll be there.
I'll give you each $1,000.
Yeah, shut your mouth. I'll give you $1,000. Yeah, call us with an update.
Tell Adam I'm sick.
And I think you guys would be okay with it.
Yeah,
really.
probably.
Like, bro, you don't understand. I'm not losing. I cannot lose. I can't lose right now. Just stay. If it were Ben, I'd be like, well, then you have to stay. Stay. I got it. So this is a dumb move.
All right, finally, I'm going to give this a do this.
DD mega do-do.
Updating the story from Don't Do This Yesterday, Jason Kelsey, who the video of him grabbing the phone out of a fan who had used a homophobic slur and referring to his brother and Taylor Swift before the Ohio State-Penn State game, tossed it, spiked it to the ground. I think social media was like 99.9% in Jason Kelsey's favor in this situation. But despite that, he still went and took responsibility last night on the Monday Night Football Countdown show on ESPN.
Listen, I think everybody's seen on social media everything that took place this week. That's what I'm not I'm not happy with anything that took place. I'm not proud of it. And, in a heated moment, I chose to greet hate with hate. And I just don't think that that's a productive thing. I really don't. I don't think that, it leads to discourse, and it's the right way to go about things. And in that moment, I fell down to a level that I shouldn't have. So I think the bottom line is, I want to live my life. I try to live my life by the golden rule. That's what I've always been taught. I try to treat people with common decency and respect, and I'm going to keep doing that moving forward. Even though I fell short this week, I'm going to do that moving forward and continue to do that. So, I think we got a game to focus on. Obviously, a matchup. I don't think this is the platform to necessarily go into more detail. So get ready for this Chiefs game.
I like that. I chose to fight hate with hate.
And I was wrong.
Yeah.
It's, turning the other cheek can sometimes be the hardest thing to do. Clearly, that stupid fan was definitely in the wrong.
Yeah.
But Jason Kelsey acknowledged, and I think, did a service to everybody by saying, just because I had maybe the right to, respond to that doesn't mean that I should have responded to that. And that's a good thing to mention, and thus
hand signal in the chat says, "I'm good on these Kelsey dudes at this point."
Yeah,
I think Paulie feels the same way.
Fair enough.
I do, but
Kelsey
regardless of how you feel, what can you
statement.
say to that apology?
Yeah,
that's
great.
He said exactly what needed to be said.
Yeah,
and that's don't and do this for a Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Padres made some decisions yesterday that will start shaping their offseason at the general managers' meetings. We will get back to some baseball Padres talk coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
All right, the list of free agents is now in with one caveat in Major League Baseball. You still have, I believe, 13 guys who have qualifying offers that were extended yesterday and could choose to return to their teams on one-year deals worth $21 million and change. That's the same for everybody. The qualifying offer doesn't matter what kind of season you had, what team you were on, what contract you had the year before. The qualifying offer is always the same number for every single team, and 13 were extended. Padres did not extend any qualifying offers yesterday, and we'll talk about what those implications are for the team and the offseason moving forward after a quick check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Plenty of activity on our roads this morning. Crash on the Rainbow Valley off-ramp south on 15, and they still have the right lane blocked south 15 right before the 56. Emergency crews on scene. Problem with this crash is that apparently it damaged some sprinklers, and they are spraying into lane south 15 before the 56. So just watch out for a little confusion there. Also getting reports of a collision northbound 5 Mile of Cars Way off-ramp. Traveling on the northbound 15 just past Adams Avenue. We have reports of some debris in the slow lane. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So, Woods, no big surprise that the Padres did not extend qualifying offers to either of the free agents who were eligible to get them. That would be Ha-Seong Kim and Jurickson Profar. So both guys now unrestricted free agents, can talk to any team, but can't come back to the Padres on that 1-year, $21 million deal.
Correct. Yeah, and here's a list of who was given qualifying offers. Obviously, Juan Soto got one from the Yankees.
Won't be taking it, obviously.
Corbin Burns from the Orioles.
Not him.
Alex Bregman from the Astros. Nope. Max Fried from the Braves. Nope. Willie Adames.
Nope.
Pete Alonso.
Nope.
Anthony Santander.
Nope.
He's a maybe.
Maybe.
He's a maybe. Teoscar Hernandez.
Possibly.
Nick Pivetta from the Red Sox. Christian Walker, first baseman for the Diamondbacks. Sean Manaea, $21.5 million qualifying offer, along with his teammate Luis Severino yesterday, and then old friend Cincinnati Reds right-hander Nick Martinez. Again, since they introduced this in 2012, it was after the 2012 season, they've given out 131 qualifying offers. And only 13 players in all of that time have accepted that qualifying offer. And why you give it to, why you offer it to a Juan Soto, why you offer it to a Corbin Burns is because if they sign somewhere else, you get a draft pick back. And so you're protected a little bit from just losing them and letting them walk away. But Juan Soto obviously isn't going to need to play on a 1-year deal. Neither is Corbin Burns, neither is Max Fried, neither is Willie Adames, neither is Pete Alonso. Anthony Santander may. He's 30 years old, $21 million, pretty good payday. You can bet on yourself. Is he going to get more than that out on the open market? It's been kind of an up and down for him. If I'm Teoscar Hernandez, I know he wants to stay in L.A., but after the year I just had, there's no friggin' way I'm taking $21 million. He
was making more than that on his 1-year deal with LA last year. He had a really good year. So I don't think it makes a lot of sense for him to take it. The dilemma for players is always it's a really good 1-year deal. I mean, it's going to put you among the better paid players in the league, but you forego the long-term security of free agency. And if you want to negotiate a 4 or 5 year contract, and remember, in baseball, all contracts are fully guaranteed. So you may not get the exact same amount per year. You may settle for $17 million a year, but if that's over 4 years, ultimately you're getting the full $68 million over 4 years. Whether you play great, whether you get hurt, healthy or not, you want to lock in a long-term contract as a free agent, which is why most of the players who get qualifying offers decline it.
Christian Walker is an interesting one for me, too. He did not have the best year last year. Arizona, that to me is like, all right, $21 million to stay in Arizona. I don't know, might be worthwhile for him. Sean Manaea, he had a really good year. Is he going to get more out there? Luis Severino was on a prove-it deal, I think. They signed him for a very little amount of money. That's pretty good.
I feel like a pitcher, it's a pretty easy no. If I'm a pitcher, I have a chance to sign as a free agent a multi-year deal.
Yeah, Pivetta, Manaea.
I know I'm one bad pitch away from an injury that completely torches my value going forward.
You want more years.
And that 1 year, $21 million was nice. I want more years. So if I'm Sean Manaea, I'm turning it down. I'm looking for a multi-year deal. If I'm Nick Martinez, I'm probably turning it down and looking for a multi-year deal. How about the rise of Nick Martinez from guy that AJ Preller plucked out of Japan that none of us had ever heard of to now someone who's getting a qualifying offer and will probably turn it down looking for a multi-year deal in free agency, probably worth, what did Michael Wacha get yesterday? 3 years, $51 million.
Yeah.
I would imagine Nick Martinez will be looking for something in a similar range. What a nice rise from Nick Martinez in the last, 3 years.
No doubt.
Very impressive. So, because the Padres did not extend qualifying offers to Jurickson Profar and Ha-Seong Kim, that avenue is now closed for that 1 year return, but they can still sign them to a multi-year deal or even a 1 year deal. There's no restrictions on the Padres negotiating with either of those players.
In the realm of Ha-Seong Kim and the Padres, if they were 99% sure that he was going to be seeking and signing a multi-year deal, with the Giants or something, then you could extend that qualifying offer to get the draft pick, but keep talking, there's that chance they could just sign him on a 1 year, $10 million deal, kind of a prove it sort of thing, see how his body responds, and all of a sudden you're paying him double or triple what you were.
If Ha-Seong Kim
him
had been healthy going into free agency, I think it would have been a pretty easy call for the Padres to extend that offer because he would have been looking for 6 years, over $100 million. He would have turned down the qualifying offer, you would have gotten the draft pick. Because of the injury, a $21 million payday for maybe
It's too
half
risky
the
for the
season
Padres.
just doesn't make a lot of sense for the Padres, because then you probably lose him again after next season. You didn't really get the value out of him this year. If you're going to sign him to
And
a
you're paying
one-year
him
deal,
3 times what he made last year.
yeah, it's going to be less. You're not giving the guy a triple raise for half a season. He's valuable, but he's not that valuable. So I don't think the Padres could really have extended that offer. Jurickson, I think, was the more potential candidate to do so. His production was worth over $20 million this year. When you simply, you look at like Fangraphs and they show you what your WAR and your production is worth, like monetarily, based on what the salaries are. Jurickson gave you over $20 million in production this season.
He absolutely
so
did.
It's not crazy to think that the Padres would want him back even for a $21 million salary for one season. Would Jurickson have taken that? Maybe, maybe not.
I wonder how he feels not getting one. Do you feel, if you're a player like Jurickson Profar and you're coming off the year you just had, and you think, yeah, all right, you signed me for $1 million. I think with incentives he made 3, maybe, something like that. $21 million is a considerable, it's an $18 million raise. Are you bummed that you didn't get the QO? Or because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're talking about a deal, right?
I've
I'm
got
sure
to
there's mutual
imagine-
interest.
I got to imagine that when Jurickson talks to, he's still with Scott Boras,
No.
right? He's not
No,
with Scott
I don't
Boras.
think
Okay,
so.
he's
He's
new
with
agent.
Manny, yeah.
He's with Manny Lozano.
Lozano.
They're probably not looking for $21 million a year. They're probably not looking for like 4 years, $80 million. They're
Right.
looking for something in the 10 to 20 range. So not getting
For
20
4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I think not getting 21 is probably pretty reasonable from their perspective. Going, that's not what we were looking for anyway. We would be happy with 15 for multiple years.
Sure.
So I can see why the Padres aren't going to offer us more than even we were asking for on a 1-year deal. So I doubt there's any hard feelings.
Sure.
There, I mean, Jurickson will find motivation in just about anything, but at this point, yeah, I don't think it's a big deal that the Padres didn't offer him that 1-year qualifying offer.
Yeah, obviously none of us are ever going to know what that feels like. So I have no idea if you're bummed, if you're, you feel like, oh, okay, I guess, it's just going to depend on what the two sides come to. If there's mutual interest, I'm sure there is.
Qualifying offer number this year is 21.
21.
Ours would be like $21.
$21.
Michael and Adam extended
They come
qualifying
together.
offer to us.
$2,100. We've offered it to you.
Amongst the three.
Split it up. Whack it up amongst yourselves, however you feel.
$700 before taxes.
It's a weird it's a weird business, man. It's a very weird business. Yeah.
Profar in particular is just
the most.
He's in the most weird position I think I can ever remember. Has there ever been a better fit? Like a player and a team, like you can't picture him. Certainly can't picture him succeeding on another team, let alone suiting up for another team. And he's earned a raise. He's earned a significant raise based on his production last year. But I don't know. Does anyone think he's going to put up those numbers for the next 3 or 4 years? I don't know.
We talked about how Keith Law ranked him as a top 10 free agent and thought everything that he saw from Jurickson Profar
is
sustainable for the next few years. I mean, if you could tell me that Jurickson is going to go, 260, 270 with a 360 on base percentage, 20 to 25 home runs the next 3 or 4 years, $20 million would be a bargain for that kind of production.
Sold.
From Jurickson Profar, who's also a great team leader, good guy in the clubhouse, well liked by his teammates. I mean, that's an easy call. If you think that it's even close to sustainable for the next 3 years, and again, he's not 35 like you all think. He's only 31, going into 32. There is an argument to be made that Jurickson absolutely is worth that. I just think there's a hesitancy around the league that even 1 year from Profar is not enough to change the narrative of what kind of player he is. And it wasn't a bad player. A guy who gets on base, a guy who's a good teammate, a guy who's a good utility player, not necessarily an everyday all-star like he was last season. But he could be. This may be the first of several years where he makes the All-Star game in his 30s. There have been many players who've kind of blossomed later in his career. It's not that common, but we've seen it. who was it that was way better in his 30s? Astros. Didn't start his career great.
Well, JD Martinez has
Well,
been
JD Martinez
incredible.
JD Martinez is a great example.
Big Red, Justin Turner is another one.
There are several guys in the big leagues who have had, a 20s that was unremarkable, and then all of a sudden something clicked in. They just they figured it out. And
Profar's tough because he's been on everybody's radar for like 15 years, and as a top prospect and quality player, but never lived up to like the hype that he had as a young prospect, and then finally figured it out. And
it's tough, man. You
couldn't capitalize a couple years ago.
It's hard to walk away from players like that, and I'm sure there's interest from other teams. I know he was rumored to the Phillies rumored to have some interest. You think about him in that lineup, right? What he could do. You think about him in that city, playing with those fans. Holy smokes, like that. He's an irritant. I think he would fit in great in Philly. But what are they going to pay him? They are already listening on. They're listening on Castellanos. They're listening on Alec Boehm. They're listening on Marsh. Some of their kind of core pieces right now. I really don't know what they're up to.
Nelson Cruz was a great example of a player who didn't really lock in until late 20s and then had a really good decade in his 30s.
Yeah, for sure.
In Major League Baseball. I'm not saying that Jurickson Profar is on that track, but you can't also tell me that we don't know that he's going to have a good decade here.
You got to thread the needle. You have to thread the needle on what's best for you, what's best for the team, and what's best for the player. Those three things all coming together is
like a Venn diagram.
It is. It's really, really tough, man. It's really tough. It's really, really tough to figure out, and that's AJ Preller's job and Jurickson's agents to figure out. But I mean, am I going to miss him if he goes? Sure, but if that meant that I could get X, Y, and Z for that money, and they're going to help us win a championship, okay.
Joey Votto's not a bad comp. Kind of better in his 30s as well.
Votto, man.
Yeah, well.
This is Joe Gallo.
Or Joey Gallo.
That is Joey Gallo. This is Joey
Votto's
Votto.
elite.
This is
Love
Joey
Votto.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see how the Padres proceed. I still expect them to be patient in the Jurickson Profar pursuit. I would think Jurickson is always going to come back to the Padres one last time before he signs anywhere else. I don't think they're going to wake up one day, Jurickson's going to have signed a deal with, the Cincinnati Reds and not even told AJ Preller, hey, by the way, I'm about to sign this deal. Any chance you want to match it? I think the Jurickson likes San Diego enough that he's going to always give the Padres an opportunity to come back to the table one last time. So I expect patience when it comes to the pursuit of Jurickson Profar, but certainly they will pursue him and would like to bring him back this offseason.
Yeah, and it's wild, man, after the year that he had. It's wild to me that you're not just rushing to knock on his door to get him locked up, but that's just the way that baseball is now. I mean, there's just very few of those guys where you're like, no, I can absolutely trust you're going to do exactly what you did last year. The consistency.
He's 31.
31.
And if he was 25, we would, people, a rookie or whatever, you'd be like, give him a 12-year deal.
Yep, no doubt.
I don't envy that position.
I don't either.
Again, it's pitching that is still the most important area, I think, for the Padres to address in the offseason. We can get into more of that coming up in our 8 o'clock hour. Also learned something about the new coach of the San Diego State Aztecs yesterday that I found fascinating. We'll get to that and more coming up. Hour number 3 of Ben and Woods on the way on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we're halfway home on a Tuesday. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Rindle, the executive producer. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. Any big plans for after the program today, gents? What does a day in the life of Paul Rindle when he leaves here look like?
Well, I got the house to myself,
Ooh,
which is
you
nice.
know what that means.
My wife, she works hybrid.
I don't have the clips because I would play funny clips.
Stroganoff.
There you go.
Yeah, Megan works in the office Tuesdays and Wednesdays. She works from home Monday, Thursday, Friday. So
Okay.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays, honestly, that's when I get a lot of stuff done around the house because I just have the whole place to myself. It's easier for me to start a project, clean, do whatever I need to do. I got no distractions.
I don't like to laze around the house when my wife is home. I like to laze around the house when she's not home. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If I'm lazing and she's in the next room, I feel like a load.
And it's not, it's weird because it's not like when she is there and just sitting at the desk working, it's not like that stops me from doing anything else. But
Well, maybe
there's
one thing, but yeah.
maybe that. But it's a lot of, hey, did you see this? Hey, what do you, did you guys, how was the show? It's just talking,
Yeah.
So
Chit chat.
I've got some errands to run and I'm just going to go home and try, I need to start a new show, I think.
Disclaimer on Apple
Disclaimer.
TV. Watch it.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays are when I'll watch a lot of movies or shows that I know Megan has zero interest in watching. Like
Disclaimer.
She already doesn't want to. I want to watch The Penguin. I have heard amazing things about
really
it.
good.
I haven't started it yet, and she has zero interest in it.
All right, start The Penguin then. You guys could watch Disclaimer together. It's really good.
Apple TV.
Yeah, Apple TV. It's
I haven't
elite.
seen anything on Apple TV that has that I've disliked.
Yeah.
They're crushing it.
Yeah, they got good stuff. Ben?
So this is actually a weird day for me. Full disclosure, I have worked on most election nights at Channel 10 since I started working there. I rarely end up on the air. They've got national coverage, especially on a presidential election. So it's basically like cut-ins. We'll have a couple of newscasts, but generally they've got so many races to cover, both local and state and national, with different reporters, that they need to get to all of those. And there's just no time for sports, which there isn't really any sports today. It's the NFL trade deadline. We don't have a team. And it's the college football playoff rankings are going to be released today.
NHL highlights.
I'm guessing San Diego State is not going to be in the top 12.
You
That's
should-
just a prediction. So
You should be off today.
I asked for it off, and my boss would not let me have it off, thinking they needed all the other people to do the election stuff, and I'm just like a fail-safe. I'm just there.
In case someone drops dead.
Pretty much, maybe I'm a victim of my own competence, but if anyone needed to step in on the air, I can do it. They trust me, so
you're not
I'm
even
just
there, not doing sports,
So,
all hands on deck. Hey, we need help with
not
political
really.
coverage.
I will
You're
really
just there.
just be sitting there eating the election night pizza that they bring into the newsroom,
Ooh.
feeling like I'm not really contributing in any way. I'll try to probably work on some sort of long-term project, like updating our graphics, make sure all the logos for the teams are up to date for 2024. Something really dumb. And
Would you like it if I gave you some work to do for
you
our
could,
show?
if you want to give
I
me
can
some
give
work.
you some work,
I was
too.
planning on getting ahead on Take on Woods categories tonight.
Good
and,
idea.
trying to work on some of those. But if you've got something you need, Paulie, I can do that later
Why don't you
today.
write a new comedy bit?
This guy's over here. Hey, I'm going to be at Channel 10 working on all our new graphics and everything. I'm like, hey, buddy, we use graphics on this show too.
I know. It's definitely a weird day for me.
It's weird. They want you there, but you're not really going to be doing anything. But we just want to make sure you're there. Is your boss Hannah Nankara Woods? Because that's how it feels like.
See, you have this job though. During the pandemic, you worked from home. Can you not buy a green screen
In case
and
they
just
need you.
be on call at home? Even
I could, but if for what they would need, that really wouldn't work.
need to be in the
I would
studio.
need to be in
All
the
right.
studio, so it's fine. I'll go down there, and there's always it's actually fascinating to
Sure.
see the inner workings of a television station on a big night like Election Day, and everyone bustling. The graphics they put together, like, so cool. We've got the touch screen, like you can go between the different congressional races and push the buttons to see the results coming in. It's pretty awesome, actually.
Do a little TikTok or something. I know you don't do TikTok, or do a little Instagram video.
A little behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
It's not a bad call.
BTS, that's the stuff that people crave. And if you literally just walked through the newsroom on election night.
I think that is a great idea, and show you what the behind the scenes of a real TV newsroom looks like on a big election night, and everyone bustling and running around, and go to the control room where the engineers are taking in the different live shots from, City Hall and different campaign headquarters and stuff.
When you work on local, Channel 10, is that going to be, is it like 50-50 between going back and forth between local races and the national stuff?
On a night like tonight, it'll be more ABC News with the national stuff. And then every hour, like 3 times an hour, they'll cut in with some updates for the local races. We'll have a full, I think 8 to 8:30 is like a full local half hour where they go just focus on those local races before going back to the national for the rest of the night. And then 11, we have our regular 11 o'clock news, where technically I could end up at the end of the 11 o'clock news. Hey, we still have 45 seconds, go, Ben, fill in, the sports at the end of the night, just to kind of make the time work out. That's really why I'm there.
I'm just looking, like I said, I'm going to start a show or a movie or something, because quite frankly, the way things have gone the last couple times around, it doesn't seem like you're going to even know anything today. Yeah. It's going to all drag out. And I'm like, you know what? I'm so tuned out. I'm like, just tell me when it's over. Tell me what happened.
Wake me up when it's over. The reason I ask is I have to leave right after the show today, because I have to go to my 3-year-old. He's almost 4. He'll be 4 tomorrow. Tomorrow's his birthday. To his class. I was voluntold.
Oh, you were not tiered.
Voluntold.
Voluntold.
By my wife. My wife signed me up. And I said, what am I doing Tuesday? She said, oh, you're going to go do a...
commandeered, not volunteered.
I was voluntold. She said, you're going to be going to Taylor's class on Tuesday. I said, oh, for what? It's a presentation. I said, what's the presentation on? She said, it's...
Whatever you decide. You're making the presentation.
No, it's about your job. So I'm going to go in and talk...
You are making the presentation.
Yeah. I'm going to go in and talk to 3- and 4-year-olds about radio. Their favorite thing.
Really?
Radio. Yep.
So there's this thing.
Terrestrial.
By the time you're grown ups, probably won't exist.
It'll be obsolete entirely if it's not in your home already.
But we're also on YouTube, and that probably will exist. So you can tell them about YouTube.
I will. I'll show them a YouTube video.
Yeah.
And then I'm going
tell them about the Odyssey app.
I will. The rewind feature.
Yeah.
And just the power of local radio, which is, and we'll talk about, advertising and things
West
like
Coast
that.
Men's Health,
kinetics.
Things that 3- and 4-year-olds really need to know about.
Yeah, so that's today. No, it's volunteering at St. Blowfish. No, it's.
See if you can get one of them to sign up for sdfatloss.com.
Okay, I will. Maybe one of their parents.
They lost 40 pounds in 60 days. They might be gone.
That's true. None of them actually weigh 40 pounds. So I have to, I'm going in today to do in-class presentation. Taylor's dad, radio guy, and talk about...
Have any props? Are you going to bring anything in to entertain them?
I just had Paulie send me a video of Taylor here. Now we'll all huddle around my very small phone. And I'll play them the video of Taylor.
The teacher, I'm sure, can,
Taylor, you want to come over here and take my job? You want to press some buttons?
Oh, we did that before.
Go over there to Uncle Paulie.
Got the soundboard going.
This was from last year, last summer.
Here he comes. You never know what's going to come up when one of the Woods kids takes over Paul's soundboard here.
I'm not a cat.
Oh, we're into the boings and kind of sounds
Sweet
now.
baby.
Look at his face.
Oh, hey.
So, yeah.
Play that one again.
That's Bo laughing at his brother. Can I play that in class?
I'm sure Bo said worse.
Sure.
Well, Taylor.
Nothing wrong with saying nuts. It just depends on what you're referring to.
It's true. So I got to do that today. I'm nervous. I always get nervous for these. But Hannah said, yeah, I'm usually in and out in like 30 minutes. I go, 30 minutes? You're doing real estate presentations, these kids, for 30 minutes? Let's talk, kids, about your fiscal responsibility and the equity. And she's like, no.
Interest rates are our next topic.
Yeah, right? And she goes, well, I do like a thing, and then I'm there for like 30 minutes. I go, I'm going to be there for 10
Explain
minutes.
the whole commission thing to them.
I'm going to get in and out.
how it all works.
Zach says have them use the voice feature on the Odyssey app. That's not a bad idea. Come in and listen to it in the morning.
Get a little content out of that.
Holy cow, dude! So yeah, I got to do that today and do the whole presentation. I brought them some Ben and Woods stickers that they can have, and just kind of tell them the way of and the powers of local radio.
Well, speaking of career day, I learned what Sean Lewis of the Aztecs might be doing had he not gone into football coaching, because yesterday at his weekly San Diego State news conference, as you can expect, he was asked questions about the field conditions at Snapdragon Stadium, the ones that forced the Wave to move their final home game. Sandy, sliding, bad turf. The Aztecs clearly experienced it against Washington State a couple of weeks ago. And Sean Lewis, being a good soldier already for San Diego State, said, "Hey, we're gonna be ready, and I trust our field crew. They're going to do an elite job getting that field ready. I've been presented with the plan about grow lights and hybrid turfs and watering and everything that they're going to do. But hey, I'm not going to tell them their job. They're not going to tell me what plays to call on third down. We're just going to trust that it gets it done." And then he added, he said, "Even though my major in college was agricultural journalism, I still don't know how to grow grass." And I thought, wait. You majored in agricultural journalism. So, journalism, which is a common major, especially for, something that we do. Not that either one of us majored in journalism. We didn't, but obviously people do when they go on to television and radio and newspapers. But he was specifically covering like farm issues in journalism, which I imagine probably is something like Midwestern newspapers probably have like a farm report section.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
I was just trying to picture what kind of coverage you do in agricultural journalism.
It's pretty simple. I mean, when you were a kid, you were watching Chick Hearn, calling Lakers games, and there was something that got in you then, and you thought, I want to do that. Sean Lewis, as he was growing up, you see those guys on the agricultural beat, and you think to yourself, that could be me one day. I could be out there with a pen and a pad, and I'm talking, so how's the crop going to be? Good. Well, I'm going to put your feet to the fire here. What happened last year?
Do you get in a scrum
with
the other reporters around the farmer?
Hey, man, things are
every
good.
Single day.
We need a little rain, as you guys know, but, the agricultural beat is a hot beat, and you see it, and you see all the fringe benefits you get. Because think about like D-Lynn, right? Think about Dennis Lynn and Kevin Acey. Those guys are flying, they're collecting miles, they're staying in nice hotels, eating good meals. You see that agricultural beat when you're a kid, and you're like, I got to be a part of this. The hat with the press pass in it on the side.
The 4-H World Series.
4-H World Series. You're like, hell yeah. What's the new John
spring training? You like show up when they're like sowing the fields in the spring, and you go out and cover
it.
What crops are you planting in these fields this year? The public wants
to know. How's the yield going to be?
Mr. McDonald, the corn crops
McDonald.
weren't
the
great.
Farm, Mr. McDonald.
Corn didn't grow like you hoped it would last year. How do you hope to prevent that from happening again this year?
Old McDonald, Paulie pulls up. Mr. McDonald. Old McDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
The question is,
and on that beat was Sean Lewis.
The question in our chat said, Ben watched Chick Hearn, Sean Lewis watched Chick In.
Who ruined that? Who said that?
That was the
I'm gonna ban
the
them.
question is moot.
I'm gonna ban them from the chat. Yeah. Agricultural journalism. The new John Deere is out, and let me tell you guys, this thing kicks major ass. That's fantastic.
That is
All
amazing.
Right,
I was actually amazed that is a major that you can study in college, agricultural journalism.
Now, I went to Texas Tech, had a lot of agricultural. There was a lot of agricultural majors and stuff, but I think it was more of like wanting to grow things, but writing about those that grow things is a little bit different. Or Satan's Blowfish says he actually listens to some agricultural radio on Sirius. They have that.
So I listen to some rural radio station on Sirius. What does that sound like?
Now I have to hear it. Can we find some and play it tomorrow?
Blowfish, if you're in the chat, let us know what channel that is on Sirius XM. I would actually tune into that on my drive.
Got a huge story for you about a farmer in Iowa who plowed over his corn
to build a baseball field.
Biggest story in the history of
Every
agricultural
journalist
journalism.
in America would be flocking to Iowa for that one.
Yeah, just let us know what the station is, and I would like to hear that. I'd like to play some on the air. Absolutely riveting. I'm going to actually check it at the
sure
break.
There's a podcast somewhere that
Sure
we
there
can
is.
dip our ears into to see what it sounds like.
Now, can I just say, I'll just say it. Now, did he play football in college?
Yes.
Okay.
He did.
All right.
He was a tight end, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. Scholarship tight end.
Where?
Wisconsin, I think. Okay. Was it? That's where he grew up, at least.
Feels like a. I don't.
You're saying he picked like an easier major?
Yeah, you just want to make sure you make your grades. I think.
Yeah.
Trying to get.
Yeah, tight end at Wisconsin.
Okay.
Where he studied agricultural
journalism.
Fascinating.
I can write about the field, but I just can't. I don't know how to.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to grow it, but he knows how to cover people who do grow things.
That is riveting stuff. It's great. Yeah,
like I said,
beat.
Learn something fascinating about the head
here
coach
on Rural Radio 147 to Sirius XM. Sean Haney, your host here on this Monday edition of the show. Thanks so much, everybody, for making Real Ag Radio and Rural Radio 147 a big part of your workday. Also, of course, a big shout out to everybody listening out there on the Real Ag Radio podcast. You can find the Real Ag feedback line by calling 855-77.
Awesome, thanks, Sean.
Adam.
We haven't really got into winter here.
The guy's name he's interviewing is Peter Johnson, which is funny.
Old McDonald.
And this episode is Real Ag Radio, corn harvest progress, tillage issues, and forage breeding success.
Play it.
Yet it's sort of still fall, and that, I don't know, the sun has stability on the corn. Until very recently, standability was excellent. Other than the farmers that in the tar spot area that didn't spray for tar spot, and there's starting to be some disasters in fields now. I'm starting to see some very severe lodging if they didn't get to the field quickly enough. And it's kind of interesting, Sean, because
it is.
Number one, we talked last week about poor aerial application with tar spot fungicides, and I'm getting more and more feedback
is
about
this
that.
What it sounds like
Growers
when someone
are
who
very
doesn't follow sports tries to listen to sports
of
radio, and it's
aerial
just
application.
words you don't understand and concepts that don't make any sense to you at all?
Tar spot fungicides in corn, you don't back into the corner,
right?
Because you tramp too much corn to get that little bit in the corner. So you just make the corner and keep going. Well, man, those corners, they are flat. Like they have just gone.
This is
and
unreal.
It's sort of in the last week, we had top break and whatnot. And in the last week, if you didn't get them out of the field, they have just collapsed.
They're done. No standability.
So really,
my goodness gracious. I didn't realize that choking corn is a real issue in the
We've
field.
had a lot of fun with corn this year, to be honest.
The corn is doing great, and all of a sudden, you're like 3/4 of the way through, it just collapses.
They taught you your fungicides and bad areability.
That was quality stuff there from Peter Johnson.
Peter Johnson. It sounds made up. Hey, make something to have your name sound like Two Wieners. How about that? My name's Peter Edwards. No, I want the Two Wiener name. Peter Johnson's going to be what I'm going to go by. All right? The threeness. Well,
Peter Richard Johnson.
I'd like to check in.
That was yesterday's episode. It's been live for 16 hours now.
Okay.
Guess the view total.
12.
42,000.
Somewhere in between there.
12,000.
129.
All right. Okay.
I was 129.
129.
Well, we got many more people live on our YouTube stream at the moment here on Men and
So
Woods.
good, man.
I guess I'm not going to change my career to agricultural radio.
That is so good. It was soothing. There was something soothing about it. I don't know what it is. I didn't understand
almost any of it, but
it was soothing.
It was fascinating.
Thank you for finding that, Paulie. It's greatness.
All right, we're a little overdue for a timeout. Got a little carried away with farm radio for a second, but we'll come back. Let's see. We got college basketball season's underway. The Aztecs play tomorrow night. And
all right, let's talk about the Aztecs tomorrow night.
Can we?
Yes.
Sounds good.
You know I'm mad already.
All right, that's coming up after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
All right, first test of the season for the San Diego State basketball team comes tomorrow night at Viejas Arena against a team that nearly knocked them off. You remember last season at UCSD, the Aztecs played the Tritons. We're down 14 points with, I think, around 7 minutes to go and had to go on a massive run and get a Jaden Ledee put-back buzzer beater to avoid what could have been a crippling upset early in the season. Now, they won it, so it didn't hurt them. They ended up going to the NCAA tournament. What seed did they get last year? 5 seed in the NCAA tournament, made it to the Sweet 16. But it might not happen had they lost that game against UCSD. But they will play the Tritons tomorrow night at Viejas Arena. Very different look squads for both teams. There's only one Aztec who played in that game last year that will be on the floor. There's a couple of guys who didn't
Miles
get into
Bird.
the game. Miles Bird didn't actually get into that game.
Oh.
I think it was Miles Heide is the only Aztec that was actually on the floor in the game. And there's only two Tritons that were in the game last year. They had some transfers who left for greener NIL pastures. But according to my brother, who went to practice, he's an alum, was on the basketball team. They have a good team. They're Division I. Fully no restrictions for the first time this year. They're eligible for the NCAA tournament if they win a Big West tournament.
Man.
So,
yeah,
you don't want to be messing around in this first game of the season if you're San Diego State tomorrow night against UCSD, which will be looking for payback after letting one get away last season.
Banner raising night tomorrow.
Right. Sweet 16 banner.
How do we feel about that?
We feel good about that.
The banner.
Yes.
I think I think in college basketball it's different.
Totally different.
I don't want to see. There better not be
There will be.
a wild card qualifier advance to the NLDS banner.
There is.
There'll be a wild card series winner banner of some sort, probably.
Yeah. I don't see. It feels different in baseball. I don't want to see that. But I think making it to the Sweet 16.
That's
really cool.
Worthy
good.
of a banner, right?
Yeah.
Think about it this way. In the NCAA, you make it to the Sweet 16. You were a top 16 team out of 360 teams.
Yes.
Right.
There's only 30 Major League Baseball teams. So being in the top 8 out of 30 teams is not nearly as impressive as being in the top 16 out of 360 teams.
We were
at
in
the
the
end
top
of the year.
6.
Conversely,
right?
though, even if they just made it to the tournament, some schools say that is worthy of a banner.
Well, I think
made it to the tournament. We were in top 68 out of 360.
I think for some schools that's very, very worthwhile.
Well, in that
We've raised
case,
the
you
bar.
raise your conference banner. You either won your conference tournament to get in, or maybe you won your conference regular season title to get in.
That's true.
Now, if you finish third, got an at-large bid, I don't know that you put up a banner just that you went one and done and lost in the first round of the tournament. I don't know. Guess that each program gets to decide. But a Sweet 16 banner is absolutely
you have to.
Major cool. It'll be
I agree.
Major cool. Third time the Aztecs will have one. They'll have 2 Sweet 16s and a national championship game banner at Viejas Arena after tonight.
Now, I saw the update yesterday from Aztec Tracker. It said TV update, San Diego State men's basketball debut against UC San Diego on Wednesday will air on Mountain West Network. I don't have that, I don't think.
It's streamer. If you have the internet, you have the Mountain West Network.
So I got to watch this game on my phone.
Probably, yes. It's not uncommon for early season college basketball games. Unless you're like Duke or Kansas, every team plays games that aren't picked up nationally on television in college basketball.
You never got a Roku, right? I told you to do.
Mm-mm.
Do you have a smart TV that has apps on it?
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to
download
their
their
app
app
Mountain West
quickly.
app.
Yeah, I think it's free. I don't think you have to pay or anything to watch it. It just will be there for you when you need it.
So no local.
I don't think so. Like Channel 4 had sometimes picked up those games. I have no idea what their current circumstances are, but I did not see any reports that they would be picking up the game this week.
Got to get the Chevron app, download the special, sign up. Man, I just want it on TV. I pay an exorbitant amount of money for my cable. Should be on there.
Probably the second game against Occidental next Tuesday will also be the same way. So at least you'll have a leg up if you have already downloaded that. That's a Division III opponent though, so not really as intriguing of a game as this one against UCSD.
I wonder what the line is on this one.
Ooh, good
It's
question.
Tough. Early basketball
Why don't you look it up? I will give you my guess. I'm going to say San Diego State by 14.5. That's just my initial guess. Don't know how much respect that UCSD is getting yet nationally from odds makers, but they definitely have a decent team and a decent program that they are building there in La Jolla. By the way, San Diego State did appear in the first 4 teams out of the new bracketology. They hadn't even been in Lunardi's offseason bracketology at all.
I have no line.
No line for the game?
Yeah.
All right.
Not yet.
Well, I just said it. 14.5.
All right.
What do you like?
God. I'd stay away.
All right.
I'd stay away.
That means I
It's
set
too
a good
big.
line.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
I like that.
Yep.
All right, so that's tomorrow night. We can talk about it more later this week, see how the Aztecs do. And good luck to the Tritons as well in their first full-fledged season as a D1 team. All right, we talked a little bit about Blake Snell and the possibility that he returns to the Padres this offseason. I don't think it's out of the question.
I don't
but
either.
How would the Padres make that work? I want to talk about that a little bit more when we come back with more Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Woods, you reminded me in the break of a guy that did not get his contract option picked up that I wanted to bring up earlier that might be of interest to the San Diego Padres this offseason. In fact, they've already employed his brother at one point.
They did.
Could the Padres be interested in Travis d'Arnaud, who is now on the open market after the Braves declined, what was it, $8 million option?
It was like $8 million.
Interesting. I'm going to look into the numbers, and we'll talk a little Travis d'Arnaud and Blake Snell right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your trusted instant drive-thru oil change. Yeah, most of our problems seem to be in the North County, northbound side of the 15 before Valley Parkway. There is a collision involving a car and a big rig. You got middle lanes blocked. Also traveling on southbound 15 before Poway Road, collision over to the right shoulder. Further south on the 15 before Mira Mesa Boulevard, reports of some metal debris in the left lane. Getting reports now of a possible brush fire starting up eastbound 78 past Woodland Parkway. Some smoke visible from the right shoulder. And a crash has cleared on westbound 78 near Los Posas. Cordell traffic cam shows a collision on southbound 163 before Genesee. Those cars are in the center divide. Stop by any of the 30 San Diego Valvoline Instant Oil Change Centers. You don't have to get out of your car. Usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Plus, get a free courtesy check of your tires and battery. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for directions and discounts. SoCalOilChange.com. And Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station. 97.3 The Fan.
All right, so, Travis d'Arnaud, who has been the Braves', pretty much regular catcher for the past 3 or 4 seasons, was not brought back at just $8 million for next year. Why is that the case? I mean, he's going to be 36 in February, so going into age 36 season. His numbers aren't through the roof good. He's 248 career hitter, hit 238 last season, 15 home runs, 48 runs batted in, 1.1 WAR. Certainly, though, at a position that is so hard to find competent players, behind the plate, I would think that's something that it would be appealing to a number of teams.
He saved their ass last year. Sean Murphy is the guy they went out and got from Oakland, and he's not been good. He was injured. He had an oblique strain. And so when he went down, d'Arnaud had to step in immediately and played really well and helped. He's a team leader. He's much beloved in Atlanta. But the other problem for Atlanta is they got some guys that are going up. In fact, Sean Murphy's one of those. His salary's jumping from 9 to 15. Spencer Strider, they're going to get him at a cool $4 million a year, which is why young, controllable pitching is always hot for a team. And then Chris Sale is going from 16 to 22. So they're having some guys get some bumps. He was kind of a casualty of that. And again, they could still bring him back, Benny. They could still sign him in the free agent market, but not picking up that $8 million option was a little bit curious, I thought, for a guy that is again, much beloved, had a good season for you, and really saved you when Sean Murphy went down. But they're expecting more from Sean Murphy at, what did I just say, $15 million a year.
Yeah, d'Arnaud was an all-star in 2022, Silver Slugger in 2020. But let me ask you this. Would you pay Kyle Higashioka $8 million? Because Kyle
for
Higashioka
1 year
had a better season than Travis d'Arnaud did last year.
No, I
higher WAR, more home runs, better average. Kyle Higashioka had a better season than Travis d'Arnaud.
Higgy's my starting catcher.
Yeah,
so I would.
Would you pay him $8 million next year?
I would.
I would think that that's going to be somewhere in the range of what he should be asking for this offseason.
I think so too.
And the Padres may have to pay it. I mean, they need a catcher. I don't think you can go into the year with just Luis Campusano and Brett Sullivan as your catching core. Ethan Salas is getting closer, but not going to be ready, I would expect, at the start of spring training to be your everyday catcher.
Yeah, you're basically in stopgap mode right now, waiting for him for the next couple of years.
But if you're Higgy, do you want to sign a one-year deal? Or
No,
are you
I
looking
want to
for
sign
a multi-year
couple of
deal?
years, yeah.
But if you're the Padres, do you want to lock up a multi-year catcher when you know that spot is reserved for Ethan Salas probably sooner rather than later? I mean, I would think at least by opening day 2026, Ethan Salas is kind of being targeted to be the Padres catcher. So if you sign Higgy to a 2 or 3 year deal, he's expecting the last 2 years to go back to a backup role.
Which is fine at 37 years old. I think even 37-year-old catchers know that that's their role. Also, you get to help shepherd along this guy's career, and you're here. You're here. You're in San Diego, and you're playing. And again, Ethan Salas isn't going to come in and shoulder 160 games right away. That's just not something they're going to do.
I like the idea of like a 3-year deal for Higgy, maybe a little more front-loaded, and then a little lesser as you know he's going to be more of a backup to Ethan Salas, but have that veteran presence there, cool, calm, collected character who's going to help Ethan Salas, in those first couple of awkward years when he's trying to, be a major league catcher. And
I mean, look, I love Higgy, but you could also just go sign Travis d'Arnaud. If you
You
want
could do
to,
that.
like if he's out there now.
I don't know who's going to have a better season next year, d'Arnaud or Higashioka.
I don't know.
I don't either.
No idea, but I like them both. Actually, they're both pretty solid and serviceable catchers. So in a really tough position to find, and especially getting offensive production out of. A couple of not. It's not going to break the bank for either of those guys.
Meanwhile, I want to continue our discussion about a possible reunion with Blake Snell and what that could even look like. What the Padres would need to do, Woods, to make that feasible. Blake Snell, and I saw the Foul Territory podcast guys were talking about it yesterday. Blake Snell, going to break the bank, huge, looking for 4 or 5 years, $30+ million a year. What's different about this offseason compared to last offseason for Blake Snell?
He didn't win a Cy Young.
He didn't win a Cy Young. He didn't have as good of a year. He's a year older than he was last year. Why is Blake Snell now going to get the big deal that he didn't get last year? What was holding him up from getting the big deal last offseason? I don't totally understand the market for Blake Snell and what teams are seeing or not seeing about Blake Snell. I mean, we're big Blake Snell fans. I would love to have him back in San Diego. I don't understand why he didn't get a big deal last year, why he had to get a 1-year option type deal with the San Francisco Giants. He's clearly one of the best pitchers in baseball. Yes, he's not a guy who's going to pitch into the 8th inning of every single game.
Who is?
There aren't many pitchers like that nowadays. And by the way, he did throw a no-hitter, went all 9 innings this season, so he can.
You guys watch the playoffs
he can
this
do
year?
it.
Anybody watch the playoffs this year?
And if you're a team that has perfect, Woods, if you're a team that has playoff aspirations,
correct,
and you're looking for
a dominant pitcher,
a dominant 5 innings from a starting pitcher in the playoffs.
Who's better?
You're not going to find anyone better than Blake Snell. He's done it before in the postseason.
He's
done it in the World Series.
Yep.
No one's better for 5+ innings than Blake Snell. No one out there. And if you're trying to win a World Series, Blake Snell is a great guy to have on your team. Where's the market? Why isn't the market been there for Blake Snell?
Don't know. I really don't. It's I was just reading something. The most innings he's ever thrown is like 130 innings, so he's not going to give you the.
He had 180 in his Cy Young year for the Padres.
What did I see? Yeah, he did. Yeah. He was their workhorse that year. Yeah, he threw.
I mean, yeah,
just twice. Just twice in his 9-year
over
career.
130.
Yeah, over 130 just 2 times. And so I think again when he's healthy.
Glasnow is more brittle and throws less innings than Blake Snell.
30?
He makes a ton.
Yeah, he makes a ton.
I don't understand what the hesitancy is about Blake Snell.
Me neither.
The dugout or Blake's inconsistencies
Didn't win the
cost
Cy Young
him.
this year, but definitely showed Cy Young
Was the most
stuff.
dominant pitcher again in the second half of the season, as he almost always is. Inconsistency. So Dylan Cease is inconsistent as well.
Very much.
He's got a ton of value.
On a Cy Young for this team, and I have no idea why.
Blake's been good everywhere, though.
Yeah, he was good in Tampa Bay. He was good for the Giants when he was healthy.
Are you willing to clear someone else's salary that you like to allocate that money toward Blake Snell? Whether it's Luis Arise, Dylan Cease, and make a trade that you don't necessarily want to make to try to bring back Blake Snell.
So this is an interesting comment. Commendatory in the chat says, you don't understand why Snell didn't get paid last year? You should talked about it last year like you understood. No, like I don't understand what that means. We were surprised that it took, I know I was surprised that it took that long for Blake. We all kind of assumed, oh, the Mariners will be in on him. He's going to want to go pitch for his hometown team.
I mean, I kind of assumed Scott Boras overplayed his hand.
Of course, because he always does.
You know, bad agenting maybe was part of the problem, and they waited too long and misread the market. But there should be a market there for Blake Snell.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's done this several years in a row now, where he shows you the elite stuff, and you may have to grind through some early season woes, but like him or hate him, and like it or hate it about him, that he needs to be comfortable and he needs that sense of home and all that. That's who he is. That's how he's wired. Yeah. So wouldn't you feel comfortable giving him a multi-year deal? Especially as speaking only from the San Diego perspective, knowing he knows everybody here, he wants to be here, we think, and he's had success here. Like, that would be a pretty easy relationship to jump back into.
So we dug out dirt, so we scoffed at the idea of Blake Snell making that much money. Well, how much money? I think we were all fine to let him go because we knew we couldn't pay him. It was one of those things where
we knew he was worth $30 a year.
If we're paying,
with the payroll,
we're not.
The Padres were going to have. He wasn't going to fit in it.
If you're going to trade Juan Soto, you can't keep Blake Snell. You know what I mean? That was you have to kind of let him walk.
Yeah,
so.
It wasn't that I didn't think he was worth
or
it.
deserving of.
I didn't think the Padres were going to be able to fit him in for what he did
for sure
deserve and what was going to get somewhere else. Now he got $30 million, right? I mean, it was kind of deferred, and it was a 1-year option deal. He got money. There's no doubt about that. It's simply, considering he was a free agent, he won a Cy Young award. It's still somewhat shocking he didn't get a guaranteed multi-year deal from a team that was interested.
This is what's funny, though. Somebody says, outside of the 2 Cy Young years, he's got a mid-3 to low-4 ERA. That's still really good, and guys that are worse than that still get paid. They still get paid in this game. So,
and he also has 2 Cy Young years.
Two Cy Young years that you can't just put those aside.
You remember, the first 3 years of Blake Snell were up and down. They're not perfect. And then
I'll be honest, he frustrated the hell out of me to watch sometimes. He had such good stuff, and then you could see after a while when he locked it in. I mean, that run he went on was absolutely dominant. It was just insane.
I hear you, and I agree with you, and I probably pushed back a little bit on some of those frustrations, but man, isn't that every pitcher nowadays?
Yeah.
Doesn't every pitcher frustrate you a couple outings in a row, maybe?
Pretty much.
Michael King frustrated me early in the season.
Yeah.
God, he's got the stuff is right there.
Yeah,
Why can't he
it's
put it
tough,
together?
dude.
And then he was the best pitcher on our staff.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, you know who he's a perfect fit for? It's the LA Dodgers. He is a perfect fit for them because they can afford it, they can overpay him, and they can use him in the playoffs where he will be absolutely deadly. I don't think they need him per se.
I mean, that was their idea with Glasnow as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you
Except
know
they
what? We
didn't.
don't care how healthy you are in the regular season. Let's just have you healthy in the playoffs. And then he wasn't.
And then he wasn't. Yeah, like I've said many times, if you're the Dodgers and you pitch Tyler Glasnow before July, I think that's malpractice. I think you tell that guy, we'll see you in July. Be ready to go. You don't need him to win games in April, May, and June.
I
You just
don't think the Dodgers overused Tyler Glasnow this last year.
But again, you don't need to push him at all.
But they didn't. They gave him weeks off in the middle of the season. They really didn't push him at all, and he still got hurt.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Well, they can afford that.
They could. Well,
and they can afford that with
apparently
Blake.
They could.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, somebody's going to pay him. I don't think he's taking any discount or anything to come back here, but he's another hard. It's a hard guy to market. Like, it's a hard guy to figure out what he's worth.
Again, if it goes most of the offseason again and he's not anywhere, I would
have a
think
good shot.
I would think you've got a shot to bring him back at that point. All right, we've got 1 hour to go. Paulie's got a Ryle report, including a story on Chicken McNuggets, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Some news you can use.
Sounds coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Ready for a quick NBA update, Woods, before we get to the Ryle report?
So ready.
Cleveland Cavaliers are red hot.
Undefeated, buddy.
8-0.
Yep. And
Milwaukee Bucks are kind of bad. They fell to 1-6. Giannis was out. Cavs improved to 8-0 with a 116-114 win last night. Lakers are struggling on the road. 1-3 on their road trip. They lost to the Detroit Pistons. 113-105. Cade Cunningham had a triple-double last night. Anthony Davis had 37. He's been really good. Did injure his ankle late in the game.
How serious?
It was very gimpy, but stayed in. So, he said, I'm not going to miss any time. But the Lakers have been struggling on this road trip after their 3-0 start. And the Clippers had a huge come-from-behind win over the San Antonio Spurs, down 26. Spurs without Greg Popovich, who is missing due to some health concerns.
Yeah,
they say he'll be back, but they have an interim head coach right now, so hopefully Pop is okay.
Did they say he would be back?
I saw out indefinitely.
Out indefinitely, but they said we do expect him to return at some point here. But best wishes to Pop. Can't have been good for his health to see his team blow a 26-point lead against the Clippers last night.
How
it's
about
scary when you see an update? Suffered a medical situation after the game, out indefinitely. You're like, what the hell happened?
John Morant almost made me suffer a medical condition last night when I saw his two ridiculous. Jaws stayed out of trouble so far this year. He's been a very a bit of a lightning rod in the NBA and has made some really dumb decisions. But when he is good, there's few better than him when he's good. I saw a couple of highlights this morning. 360 buckets, Ben, that he made that were just unbelievable. Zach Edey, who was my pick for Rookie of the Year, and a lot of people's pick for Rookie of the Year, had another monster game. They did lose. Yesterday to the Nets, I believe.
I'm going to say good on the NBA. They have no games scheduled for tonight.
Smart.
Just letting the business of the country move on and not have any NBA distractions. So,
is there any?
There's some. I think there's some college basketball tonight, but
what about
not
hockey.
Not a ton.
Hockey's a full slate.
Yeah, there's no. It's not even that they're not doing the primetime games. They're not playing tonight, right? The NBA.
Yeah, there's a full slate of NHL games.
Okay, well, if you want to watch hockey, I mean, a lot of them are in Canada, so that's probably fair that you have games anyway in other countries as
Canadians
well.
are like, why do we have to miss for you guys?
But yeah, it is a fairly light sports day. Again, they will have released the first college playoff rankings of the season, the first one for the 12-team playoff at the end of the year. Now, they're just going to release the list, though. That doesn't necessarily correspond with the matchups because you have to win your conference to be, I think, the top 4 seeds and get a bye. And then the lowest or the highest ranked non-power 4 team, even if they're not in the top 12, gets in. So you'll have to kind of do your own imagination of what the brackets might look like when the first college playoff rankings come out later today.
Okay.
All right, Paul, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Ryle Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Ryle Report with Paul Ryle.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Ryle Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right. Good morning, my friends.
Good morning.
Morning.
Where to start here? We will start in the NFL and kind of an update to a story that we've talked about a few times now. Tom Brady in the booth, but now a minority owner for the Las Vegas Raiders, and how those 2 jobs are going to mix and come with some limitations on what he can and cannot do and what he can and cannot say. Unfortunately, there's a lot of gray area in that. But we are getting a little bit of clarification kind of on a week-by-week basis. And what I'm talking about is something happened over the weekend. Brady was calling the game, and he had the Lions and the Packers. And he questioned, Brian Branch was ejected, defender for Detroit. He was ejected, and Brady questioned it. He didn't agree with the call, and a lot of people were like, okay, is that crossing the line now as an owner, as a team owner? Is he
Owners
he
are
is
not allowed to criticize officials.
Well within his rights as a broadcaster to say it, but is he allowed to do that as a team owner now? And so that was kind of the first example. And Brian McCarthy, he's the VP of communications for the NFL. He sat down with Sports Business Journal and basically talked about that and said that what Tom Brady cannot do as an analyst is be egregiously critical of the referees, the rules, whatever. Egregiously critical were the choice words that he used. And he said, this particular instance did not cross that line.
Okay, so you can say, I don't know that I agree with that ejection. Right? I don't know that I agree with that.
Yeah, but if he's like, that's a terrible call.
Terrible call.
How
These
can
guys...
you make that judgment in this position? Something like that, that would be crossing the line.
Again,
I don't know that Tom Brady will ever get in trouble. I mean, like Jordan rules. I think there are Brady rules in the NFL. He's more valuable to have him both as an owner and a broadcaster, and whatever they can get out of him. They're not going to make life difficult for Tom Brady.
Maybe they should make him a player again. The Raiders need a quarterback.
Raiders need a quarterback.
Did you see the breaking news this morning that Ben's old pal, and a lot of Charger fans' old pal, Norv Turner, has been hired by the Las Vegas Raiders to come in as a consultant. Now, I recently had dinner with Norv Turner.
You did?
I did. Well, we were at the same table at a function, and he was there, and I asked him, do you remember Ben Higgins? And he said, yeah, I know Ben. And that's all he said. Finally found somebody that doesn't like you and thinks you hang the moon. And I got to tell you, I really liked Norv for his fresh perspective.
I'd have to say that I was one of the bigger Norv defenders in this market.
Interesting.
Norv had plenty of critics. I wasn't one of the loudest ones.
He was a super nice guy. And, the Raiders have hired him. His son works for the Raiders as
well.
Scott
Turner.
Yeah. And Norv's going to come in and get his hands dirty with the offense and try to figure out what's going on with the very stagnant Las Vegas Raiders offense.
Norv was always one of the best assistant coaches in the league. No doubt about that.
Norv was one of the best coordinators to ever be a coordinator.
Exactly. It was just the head coaching, that was the question mark, and whether he could really lead an entire organization. Norv had his style. He was very casual. I mean, it was definitely not a Marty Schottenheimer, hey, it's my way or the highway sort of guy. He was definitely more about the X's and O's of the game. Did he leave some of the other elements, I'm sure, to his assistants, and sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't, but he knew his strengths. He went with them, and Norv Turner was always a really good coach.
And he'll get a chance to go in and tinker with the Las Vegas Raiders offense.
I think he's a Padres fan. I've seen him at the games.
As a consultant.
So that's, cheer for a good Padres fan there.
Yeah, San Diego connections.
All right, next up, a little disappointed here, but we've been waiting on the Jerry Jones audio from today.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones does his weekly with, 105.3
105.3 The Fan in
Dallas.
Here in Dallas, and it's RJ and Choppy.
Yes.
So he didn't
get him fired.
Didn't get them fired and continued to come on. How uncomfortable is that convo?
Yeah, I listened to the beginning. Trust me,
waiting.
I was hoping for some spiciness. Never got it.
Those guys are pros.
Hey, good morning. How y'all doing?
Well, we're fine.
But he did provide a little bit of, I guess, breaking. It's nothing spicy audio, but a little bit of breaking news. Of course, Dak Prescott left the game on Sunday. And this is what every talk show in America will be talking about now for the next week.
Yep.
He left the game. He was seen holding his hand. And they did ask Jerry Jones for an update on Dak Prescott. And it's not great if you're a Dak Prescott fan.
Jerry, injury news came out yesterday. How are you guys feeling about the timeline for Dak Prescott?
Well, it's iffy, but it's extended period of time here. So I wouldn't dare make a prediction when it could be. It's likely we'll IR him, and so we'll see kind of how his rehab goes.
Gee, what are the Cowboys going to do without Dak Prescott?
So Dak Prescott heading to the IR, out minimum.
Will they trade for a quarterback today? They've already traded for a wide receiver. Can they trade for a quarterback?
Who is their backup quarterback?
Cooper Rush.
Jeez.
I mean, there's really no point. The season is
done.
Whether Jerry wants to admit it and Cowboys fans want to admit it, they're going nowhere this year.
Going down swinging, though.
Even if Dak comes back, they weren't going anywhere this season. So I don't know why they're trading for a wide receiver. They should be trading away players and
Yeah.
getting draft
Yeah.
picks at this point.
100%.
But they're the Cowboys, so
They would never.
they can't really do
Can't
that.
really punt.
All right, and then finally, just a little news you can use.
Who's you? Us? Me?
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 My kids?
News we can use.
News everybody can use.
All right.
We're getting ready for the holidays. Some good food, some good eating on the way. This is not one of those stories.
Okay.
McDonald's is bringing it back. They're going to be doing 10 chicken McNuggets for $1.
Oh, my.
From now until December 2nd. They're running a special. The only way you can get that deal, though, you do have to use the McDonald's app, place a mobile order, or you will, it says, provide a 4-digit deal code when you get close to your nearest restaurant. So when you're within, they geotag it or whatever, when you're within a certain distance, if you pull up the app and there's a McDonald's in the corner, they'll give you a discount code.
Pop
that
the
you
code
can
in.
Pop that in, and you get 10 chicken McNuggets for $1. And I believe, yes, the offer can only be used once a week. So you got to be a little more diligent in how you're using it. But hey, you want some McNuggets, 10 for $1.
That's a good deal.
That's a great deal, isn't it?
What are your thoughts on nuggets, McNuggets?
I've eaten a few McNuggets
Over the
in my
years?
day.
Yeah.
Sweet and sour sauce is always my go-to.
I do hot mustard and barbecue.
Really?
Yeah. I
Together?
do.
Like
Dip.
Dip.
Yeah.
Double dip.
Sweet and sour.
Yeah.
Barbecue.
Do you know that there are only 4 distinct shapes of nuggets? There's the ball, the bone, the boot, and the bell.
For McDonald's?
Yeah. McDonald's McNuggets come in just 4 molded shapes. So you'll never get anything other than the 4 shapes. The ball is kind of the round one. The bone is kind of the more rectangular one with like soft edges. The boot is the one with the little
I like the boot
edge sticking out that you can dip in.
Yeah,
And
I like
the
that.
bell is
Good
more
to
of a
hold.
diamond shape that kind of fat in the middle and narrow on the other sides. Those are the 4 shapes of McNuggets.
There we go. We all learned something today.
Yeah. 10 for a buck is a good deal.
It also says here, if you don't have the McDonald's app, but you're thinking about downloading it now, first time you use the McDonald's app, you get a large order of fries for free with the purchase of $1. So $1, you can get 10 McNuggets and a large fries. That's not bad.
You're selling me.
Might have a McNugget sauce related real or fake coming up later this week.
I think you've done it already.
Have I done that one? I
think
don't
you
feel like I have.
I feel like
I
you
don't
have.
think
Let's
I
just
ever
do
have.
it now. Do it now.
All right. Let's go
Get
with
time.
garlic soy sauce mayo.
Fake.
Real.
Gross.
Smoked cheese.
While you're reading them, real.
got
Smoked
me.
cheese.
Sweet
thank
chili.
Real.
Correct. Mighty hot sauce.
Real.
Real. You know that one.
No.
Again, you're reading.
Zesty Italian.
Real.
It is. Szechuan teriyaki.
Real.
That's real.
It is.
Where can I get these?
They're all, some have come and gone.
Worldwide.
Limited time
Yeah.
sauces.
Flavors of the past.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Paulie.
You're welcome.
I might want to partake. Can you eat 10 in a sitting? Easily, right?
Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
Used to get the 10 along with something else.
Have you ever done a 20?
By myself?
Uh-huh.
I've
No,
never done a
I don't think
20.
I've done a 20 by myself.
Done a
I
20.
could. I never have, though.
You feel so badly about yourself. When it's over, you're just like, you feel so poorly.
You're like, what, 10 wasn't enough for me?
Yeah.
I had to double it?
15 wasn't enough, you fat turd? You're going to add 5 more to that? You just ate
You
20
ate
nuggets.
15 nuggets, and you thought,
And
you know what I need?
5 more.
more.
And fries in a cup. I'm done.
20 has
75,000 calories,
No,
I know.
960 calories.
That's not bad.
For 20?
In a 20-piecer.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know if that's with or without sauce.
That's
but
without sauce. for
Still,
sure.
I mean, if that was your
Who
lunch,
eats those without
if that was
sauce?
your lunch and you had a reasonable dinner,
I mean,
that's not going to kill you.
that's
That's
less-
not going to kill you.
All right.
I'm guessing that's less than a Big Mac, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like significantly less?
I don't think it's less than a Big Mac, but it's not the worst thing you can get at a fast food restaurant. That's for sure.
You get some exercise in.
Fair enough.
Thank you, Paulie.
All right, we'll come back. We got Annie and Elston coming up at 10 o'clock, but I think they're going to ask us to fill a couple of more segments, Woods.
That was a tease for the ages.
Well, You won't let me play the Dave Roberts sound from the
No,
podcast,
our boss just
which was kind of my plan was to play the Dave Roberts podcast audio.
Our
You
boss
nixed that entirely.
Just emailed it over as well.
To the whole staff.
To the whole staff.
Making sure you saw this.
Yep,
he wants the whole
we can
station talking
revisit
about
the
it.
argument from earlier in the show if you want, at least. Coming up next after traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
want to get inside your very large, bulbous head, Benjamin Higgins.
My head's no bigger than your head, is it?
I think it is.
Really?
Yeah, you're smarter than I am.
Is Paul's head bigger? Who's has the biggest head on our show?
Paul does, I think.
I'm 7.5.
I am 7 3/8.
7 5/8, I think.
You have the biggest head,
I'm last.
technically.
Or 3/8. I think we have the same.
3/8, same head.
Well, this is 5/8.
Yeah, Paulie has the biggest head. I just want to get inside you, but not inside.
Bochy's 8 1/4.
It's insane. It's insanity. It's custom. You need a custom job.
They don't sell those at Lids.
They would hang down to the middle of my face. You're a little kid, you get that hat, and you're like, oh, cool, man. So this is over my ears. Right on. I didn't want a girlfriend. It's fine. It's no big deal. No, I just want to get in your head on this Dave Roberts thing. And I think that there's a couple of different ways to look at it. Dave Roberts went on Mookie Betts. What's the podcast? Off Base?
On Base?
On Base with Mookie Betts. Ninth inning.
Round the bases.
Between the lines.
Grand slam.
The dugout.
Bases loaded. Right? Goes on the podcast, and they're talking about, their World Series championship. And I saw the clips come out yesterday, and I listened to them. And I went, oh, great. A bunch of stuff I already knew anyway. And I also... and essentially what Dave said is, oh, man, the Padres, and they really gave us a run for our money. And, yeah, no, I was there. I watched it. Watched every pitch. I don't need that little – what is it for you? Is it like the little hit of respect dopamine
no, I don't
that you
think you're
get?
giving me enough credit. I want to parse, why are the Dodgers doing this?
You know why? To stick it to you and us.
Is that really the purpose?
No question.
Behind – all of this postseason praise.
You heard it from
for the San Diego Padres.
You heard it from Kike. You heard it from Joe Kelly. You heard it
from Johnson.
It would have been newsworthy if they said the exact opposite. If they said we weren't even concerned about San Diego.
Yes,
they did. They said it about the Yankees.
About the Padres.
I know, but they have been saying. I mean, they've been honest.
I don't care how they feel about the Yankees or the Mets.
Do you feel like they're being honest about their Padres? What they're saying about the Padres.
I think it's very easy to say now after you've already won, and oh yeah, I mean, why
aren't they saying that? Oh, the Yankees were really tough. Why is it only the Padres that they've decided
the Yankees weren't tough
after the fact?
I mean,
they're being honest. So you're saying they're being honest that they really think the Padres were the best team in baseball, and they beat the best team in baseball.
You knew that. I knew that. Paul knew that. Everybody out there knew that.
I didn't know that the Padres were the best team in baseball.
They played the Dodgers tougher than anyone.
I know they played the Dodgers well.
Yeah,
but
we should have won that series.
The World Series champs, the World Series favorites from start to finish. We beat them in the regular season. We had them on the ropes.
What I want to know from your perspective, what is it about you that needs that justification?
I don't need it. I find it fascinating.
You don't need it. You want it.
Fascinating. I don't remember this from any other teams. I don't remember when the Yankees, beat the Red Sox, talking about or the Red Sox beat the Yankees, just gushing praise of the Yankees afterwards. This seems unusual and unique that the Dodgers are going out of their way to talk about the Padres in glowing terms after the postseason.
I think it's a really smart move. I think what you do is you let them believe that we're on their level, and then you go out and try
Dave
to kick the crap out of them.
specifically said we knew that the intimidation factor that we used to have is gone. That no longer are the Padres intimidated by us.
Is that Dave? This is a good point. Jay to the J said, is that Dave's way of sort of apologizing for the Rosenthal thing? And I don't know, man. One thing I did learn about Dave Roberts in this postseason is, number one, I knew we'd seen some mind games from him before. We'd seen some tantrums from him before. He got really mad at Trent Grisham for hitting a home run off of Clayton Kershaw. We saw him shove our manager. We've heard him talk smack before, right? What I didn't realize was how calculating, and I guess to his credit, that's smart, how calculating he actually was. When you can get a reporter to lob you a question at the end of a press conference that you can take and spin and try.
Short, nerdy little reporter.
Yeah, no. This was a different reporter, right? So he gets a reporter to lob him the question.
That was a Dodgers
beat
post-game
writer.
show host or something.
David something. So he lobs the question to him. this calculated move of then sidling up to Ken Rosenthal and saying, "Yeah, this had some intent," and I was scared. I was scared for my life. I went home and locked my doors and got my gun. I was ready to go. I was nervous. I didn't know what was going on. I was scared for my life. It was an assassination attempt. And so when you heard that, and then you saw Ken Rosenthal write that article, you went, man, you really did. You really got in the domes, and you had Schilt banning guys from the dugout, and we're not talking to this guy. And, listen, we went out and won that game, but barely. We barely won that game. We tried to cough that one up. I was at that game. It was nerve-wracking. But after that, you came out and you handled business. You won the World Series. So I don't buy necessarily all of this Padres praise right now. We've seen him be calculating, use psychological warfare and things like that. I just think it's more of this.
Well, I think in years past, though, in the playoffs at least, the Dodgers just walked in every postseason thinking, we're the best team. Let's just go and be the best team and win. And this time, they walked in maybe thinking, we might not have enough this year. We better pull out all the stops.
And they did. And I think
the
even
stops
now
apparently were what they needed to pull out.
And I think even now it's the same. And so, like, for me, I was like, yeah, I'll listen. I listened to it yesterday and went, great. I didn't need that. I didn't need that San Diego pat on the back. That's the little brother pat on the head.
No,
I didn't need it. And that's what it felt like.
Do you need Mike Schilt to pull out more stops? In a similar situation. No. I don't really want that.
I don't really
my
either.
manager. That's not what I'm looking for.
That's not what I'm looking for either.
But I can't argue with the results either.
Correct. No, I think, honestly, I'd like to ask Schulte this question. If you could go back and change.
What's up, my dudes? How you doing?
We're good, man. How are you? If he could go back and change how that went, do you think he would do it differently? And I don't know that he would answer honestly. I don't know if he would say, I wonder now if I should have just said, Ken's welcome in here. He's a journalist. He's doing a job, and I didn't agree with it. But you know what I'm saying? Instead of because, dude, I'll tell you, when that article came out, I was incensed.
I don't think he would change anything because I think he tried to use that as his own
motivation
way to galvanize the team.
That's true.
Would it have made any difference? Would the Padres have hit better?
No, if Ken Rosenthal was there,
standing in their dugout.
I don't think so.
I just don't think it would have.
I don't think so.
No, but if you think it was a distraction, that could have minimized the distraction.
Yeah, and Dominic makes a good point. If Dave didn't win, he was potentially out on his rear end. So he pulled out every stop necessary, every stop available. And look, let's be honest.
I hate that it works.
As this happens to every manager, his players bailed him out. Blake Trinan bailed him out, man. He bailed him out. Jack Flaherty giving up 5 runs. His bullpen came in and bailed him out. The Yankees bailed him out, which, by the way, that's not taking anything away from him. That happens to every manager. How many times, Benny, did you watch a Padres game last year and go, "Ooh boy, oh thank God Jackson Merrill had that home run because that was a bad decision." Any way you slice it, that was a bad decision to do this, that, or the other. But Jackson Merrill comes through and hits a home run, and Mike Schultz is a genius, and everybody's happy. It's right. That's just the nature of the business.
It's the one thing that Mike Schilt always repeats that we kind of roll our eyes at, but is absolutely true. Game is decided by the players on the field.
That's right.
He'll be the first one to say it. We have a minimal effect essentially as managers and coaches. The game is about the players performing, the players preparing. It is about the players, and all the coaches can do is try to put the players in a spot where maybe they can have success. But even in those spots, they're not going to have success every time. It's ultimately about the players.
And giving yourself a chance to win a baseball game late. And Mike Schilt and his team did that a ton. They really did last year. But when it came down to it, the last game, back against the wall, 24 innings, man. 24 innings, 2 hits in the final game. You can't win. And your starting pitcher gave up 2 solo homers. Yeah, it's going to stick with us for a long time. But I certainly don't need Dave Roberts to tell me how good this team was last year, because I know.
All right, I'm now satisfied. We don't have to play the audio.
Thank you.
We have scratched my itch for
I really thought
understanding where they're coming from a little bit.
I really thought it was because he was like, hey, San Diego was really good. I thought that's why you wanted to play it. I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
There may have been a past version of me that was excited about that.
But 6 years ago when I met
I think
you.
I've gotten past that a little bit. We did not have a Take on Woods winner today, which means we've got some tickets to give away right now to Tom Segura, a comedian, live at Pechanga Arena this Friday night. If you'd like to win a pair of tickets, call in now. Fifth caller, 833-288-0973. Going to win 2 tickets to see Tom Segura live at Pechanga Arena this Friday night. 833-288-0973. All right, final segment. I do have a question for you. Think about it during the break. Just turned 49. You're also 49.
Yes.
What does it mean at our age to be in good shape?
Oh, that's a great question.
How do I define that now? Because I feel like for me, I'm in pretty good shape, but obviously I'm not. Also, so how do I define like healthiness at the approaching the age of 50 now?
All right,
and I want to know what you think about.
Take your shirt off, and when we come back, Paulie and I will pick you apart. Just. We'll start. Can I use a pen on you? Circle some problem areas. All right, we'll do that when we come back.
Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. You've had a little more experience at 49. Last 4 or 5 months?
Yeah, since July.
Why is your shirt still on?
Yeah, take your shirt off. I've got my
taking
red
my
pen.
shirt off.
I'm going to circle the problem areas.
So that's my question here. Now that 50th year of life, and trying to define what healthiness means at this point, because I know that I am never ever going to put in the work necessary to be ripped. It's just not. It's not going to happen. I don't even want to try. It's not in my goals.
You would look so weird.
That's what I think too.
You look so good now. And when we flash back to the old videos of when we first started, I didn't realize how portly you actually were.
And
it's weird
losing
to
the weight.
see.
And so the last 2 days, both days, I set new Peloton PRs. Did a 45-minute ride and a 20-minute ride. Best rides I've ever done.
What does that mean? Fastest?
Just like the most output that I've ever done in those 2 time periods.
Isn't your butt really sore?
I've gotten used to it. You get out of the saddle sometimes too. You're kind of I never thought I could do the whole standing on a bike thing, but I can now. I've been doing it over 4 years.
Perfect.
Practice makes perfect.
Your butt got used to it.
In many ways, if I'm not in the quote-unquote best shape of my life, which is probably unlikely
You
at
might
age
be
49,
in the best shape of
I'm
your
definitely
life.
in the best shape I've been in the last 20 years. No doubt about it. But am I in good shape or not in good shape at this point? I still have no athletic ability. I'm not coordinated. I'm not fast.
That's different, I think.
There's a lot of things I can't do, and I certainly don't have, a beach bod by any I got dad bod still. Even at my best, I've got dad bod. So am I, do I eat healthy? I eat better than I used to by a long stretch, but I still love, chips and guac and, Mexican food and things that I shouldn't probably be eating, and have those probably more often than I should. So am I healthy or am I not healthy? How do you define it?
Well, are you healthy or are you in shape?
I don't know. That's the question. What am I going for here at this point in life?
That's the question.
And
that's what are you going for?
That's what are we going for? And I'm sure we've got some tier ones who are either at this age or have gone through this age or are approaching this age. And I'm curious what they have to say out there in the chat. And we will get to all that after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Well, the roads seem to be winding down pretty nicely. Just a few things to mention here, guys. One of them is this crash. South 5 coastline before the racetrack. Got a big rig and car involved there over to the right shoulder. Also going to find on southbound at 15 before Claremont Mesa Boulevard reports of some furniture in middle lanes. South on the 163 before the 52, some debris reported in the 2 left lanes. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So Jake in the chat says, being alive and able to walk and talk equals good shape at 50. That's a low bar.
Low bar.
Hopefully I've crossed that bar at least.
Zach, this is a good point. Zach says, I went to the doctor. I'm healthy, but I'm out of shape. That is possible. You can be healthy.
Yeah.
And not.
I'm
you
out
can
of
be
shape,
healthy and be out of shape.
I went and got a physical last year, and they're like, your cholesterol's good,
Yep.
like heart's good, everything's good, but I'm just out of shape.
The thing that you have that I don't is that you did not treat your body like a disgusting amusement park for like 30 years. And so you have to sleep a little better at night knowing, I wasn't.
Never smoked.
Nope.
Never drank heavily in my life.
No drugs.
I mean, is that going to help me in the long run? I hope so. But
I mean,
don't know.
one would think.
But I've definitely eaten poorly for many years.
Well, imagine eating poorly and doing all of those other things, like your old pal Woodsy here. For me, it's more, I've cut out a lot of bad stuff. And mostly, alcohol is like a few time a year thing. It's a treat when I drink anything. I mean, I don't have a beer. I really don't. When I go to a ball game, I don't have a Sprite. Sprite is my new alcohol. But I think I'm exercising more than I was before. I've lost 10 pounds, but I don't make a big production out of it like you do. I'm sorry, I had to do that line because I say that to my wife. My wife, I heard her on the phone. She was actually texting Megan Reindl. She goes, he hasn't washed a dish in a month. And I wrote back, I go, I wash dishes all the time. I just don't make a big production out of it like you do. And she got so mad. So sorry, I've lost 10 pounds, but I don't feel any better than I did when I was 10 pounds heavier. I don't feel any better at all. I'm tired all the time. But I still play baseball. That's really the only thing I do. Play ball, play baseball. For me, I just want to stay alive long enough for my kid. I don't want my kids to be like 12 and 13 and I kick it, from a heart attack or something. So that's kind of what I'm shooting for.
No, my kids are already adults.
You're good.
I mean,
If you died today, your kids would be fine.
I'd like to stay alive for them a little bit longer.
Sure.
But, and I feel like I could. But at the same time, I know I'm never going to be a male model. I mean,
are you gunning for that, though?
No, but I mean, you always feel like you should be gunning for something more. Every time I get on the Peloton, every time I try to make a good choice about eating, I'm gunning for something, right? I mean, but what is it? What's my ultimate target here? How in shape do I need to get at this point?
You need to set a goal.
I don't know. I mean,
what is the
I don't know what the goal is.
I don't know what the goal is.
We're also 15 years older than you are.
What I mean is find something similar to, maybe not exactly, but like somebody's like, I need to run more. I'm gonna sign up for a half marathon. That's going to force me to start running more. I'm not saying that in particular.
Yeah,
but
I see what you're saying. I mean, you can always up your training regimen, but I have been. I mean, like 2 PRs. I've been gradually upping my Peloton. Yeah. I do it more frequently. I do it with higher intensity. So clearly I'm not training for anything in particular, but I've been training and moving forward.
It's true because like Paulie has his basketball, and when you play, like even we always, you laugh at adult ball or adult basketball or whatever. For me, it's twofold. One, it keeps me motivated throughout the year to not be a load. And number two, it's the competition factor. Like when I stop competing, I'll drop dead. I need competition in some way, shape, or form. So that's why I do it.
Literally how the Tier 1 basketball team came to be. Me and my buddy Tyler were like, hey, bro, I got to get in shape.
Yeah, but I don't want to like just go run every day.
I like playing basketball. I don't like running, but that's a good form of cardio. I mentioned it on the air, got like 10 other guys DM me. They're like, hey, man, I'm in the same boat. We joined the lower level. We're not out there trying to, we're trying to win, obviously, but we know we can't run in the A League anymore. Right. It's an excuse to get your ass out of the door once a week at least. And quite frankly, you need to play more than just once a week. Otherwise, those 40 minutes are going to suck.
It's just a goal. And like you play golf, so that's like your thing.
Yeah. I mean, I look at my younger brother who is in much better shape than I am. But at the same time, he has put so much basketball mileage that his knees and back. He always has way more like maladies than I do. Yet he's way in better shape. Like, am I better off because I haven't put that sort of mileage on my body? I don't know.
I definitely pull the if I hit a grounder to short, I'm not busting it out of the box. You know why?
Who do you think I am, Charlie Hustle?
Yeah, because I want to play. You know why? Because I want to play next week. You know what I mean? Like, you learn to listen to your body a little bit more. But I think, what is your goal? You want to lose 10 more pounds?
Not really. I mean,
want to maintain it.
I'm just trying to maintain at this point, and I just wonder. But do I need to lose more? Does that make me healthy? Is like, where's the line where I really need to get to be able to call myself healthy?
It's true. Kyle says you guys need to stretch, Kings. You're right. Number one on the thing. You can't. That should be your goal.
Stretching.
You are the least limber human on the planet.
Again, I don't injure myself. Like stretching is like to make sure you don't hurt yourself or pull a muscle
you don't put yourself in an injury risk enough.
Right. I play golf. And I don't do it.
Do you know how much better of a golfer you would be if you weren't as tight as you are? Can you touch your toes?
No.
Go ahead. Let's see how close. Yeah, you could definitely use some stretching.
I also have very short arms and very long legs. I'm never going to be able to touch my toes.
That's true.
No chance. I mean, chance.
I think you're healthy. We're all healthier versions of what we were 2 years ago. All of us, every single one of us.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And I think that's what you shoot for.
I lost 25 pounds. I just didn't mention it on the air.
You didn't make a big production out of it, like somebody.
I'm sorry, but I'm proud of my.
I actually
weight
lost 25
journey.
pounds while Ben lost 40 pounds.
SDFatLoss.com.
But I wasn't jumping into every commercial break to brag about it.
Again, you don't make a big production. We just have a workmanlike attitude. We just do it. Yeah, we just built different than him. Mine's just, I keep my head down. I keep my mouth shut. I just grind through it. Oh, there's dishes to be washed? I'll just wash them. I'm not going to, hey, I washed the dishes, everybody. I just did it. I just do it. I just handle it. Yoga would be great for you.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be good for your mentals, everything. You won't go to therapy,
I
so
have
you
good
need
mentals. What do you mean good for my mentals? I have great mentals. You said something's wrong with my mentals.
You're repressed. It's fine. It's fine. It happens.
Repressed.
You are repressed.
I'm not repressed.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You got to stretch. Stretching is key. That's one thing I would recommend for you. Stretching. Doesn't feel good, man, for everyone.
Even if you're not like working out.
Oh, it doesn't feel good.
I'm going to be mad if I start stretching and that's how I hurt
What
myself.
if he pulls his quad? He puts on 50 pounds again.
Really mad if that's how I end up hurting
we should
myself.
Set up another one of these studios that aren't being used into a little yoga room. We'll put a yoga mat in there, and Ben just show up 20 minutes earlier and just come in, get a little stretch.
It's the hard thing. Like, people keep bringing up Keith Richards in the chat. I had an aunt, my great aunt Ruth. When I tell you guys, this woman, now her bit was, I'm going to wait till 5, because if I don't wait till 5, I have a drinking problem. But it was 5 p.m. sharp every day, and it was, I don't know, 6 to 8 Manhattans, a pack of smokes. She did this 7 nights a week for, let's call it, 65 years, and she lived till she was 85 years old. And you're like, how?
We always have on local news the story about, the oldest person on earth. And then they go and interview him, and it's never, I did yoga and I ate nothing
ran
but
4
salads.
miles
It's
a day.
always,
I drank Dr. Pepper.
Steak and a whiskey every single night. That's how I got to 109. It's always that. It's always that.
Aunt Ruth, it's 4 o'clock. You want a cocktail? No. What am I, an alcoholic? Let's wait till 5, like normal people. All right.
I don't know that's how it works.
I'll make you drink at 5.
Are you less of an alcoholic if you have 1 at 3, but none later in the day, or 7
or
after
7
5
after
o'clock?
5? Yeah, those genetics or something. Now, luckily for me, my grandparents all lived pretty long, but they also didn't do all the things that I did, So I'm a little nervous about mine. Key to a long life is Hawk Tua, says Jay to the J. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Hawk Tua.
Guess I'll be dead soon.
Anyway, I guess there's no real answer to the question of am I healthy?
What I would say to you is just keep doing what you're doing.
I mean, I've never gone to the doctor and they've gone, yep, you are 100% good. Nothing to worry about ever again.
And the funny thing is like, there are people that run and do, and then they drop dead. Do you feel good? Do you feel better? Just keep doing what you're doing. That's what I think. I think you look great, and I do think you work on your mentals, but I do think your body is much better.
I don't think you could work better on your mentals. I know you can.
100%. For him to sit here and be like, me? I'm fine. My mentals are great. Get out of here.
I'm the happiest person you know. Consistently. Show up with a good attitude every single day. Not going to get
joy
better.
in my life.
Most sociopaths feel that way. All right? People keep saying yoga. I hate yoga.
I love
so
I did one
effing
class.
much. I hate it so much. It's so hard.
Even the basics would be so good.
It's so hard, dude. It's so hard. Paulie,
It's calming.
It is. It's great, but it's terrible.
I don't like
It's
these
great
calls
for
to
you.
do shirtless segments. I mean, we need to do a lot of, like, you do grooming. I'm not really a groomer when it comes to.
This just took a turn.
This really took a turn.
Yeah.
That is some info I did not need. I don't groom my chest.
You don't?
No, I don't have any hair.
You have just naturally or hairless?
That's what I have.
Oh, just a little tiny bit. You do have a little tiny bit.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you groomed it.
No, never. I'm starting to get hair on my back a little bit, and I hate it. It's starting to sprout at my ears. I shave them on Wednesday, and by Thursday, they're hairy again.
Can Hannah handle the back hair for you?
She could. It's not dark yet. It's like
it's wispy and
it's long
light.
and wispy. It's repulsive. I'm repulsive. It's the whole thing. It's just repulsive. Jay says this is scintillating radio. I like this. These are my favorite kind of segments. But I think you just keep doing what you're doing. If you had an idea that like for example, you could offer me $5 million. Woodsy, if you can get a 6-pack in a year, I'll give you $5 million. It's not worth it. It's not worth the effort. I'm not doing it. It's not worth the effort to me. I'm not going to. No. So quit asking. I would feel like I was losing a year of my life. Cool. I got to eat chicken breasts only and do 1 billion crunches, and there's just no way. There's just no way. I don't think I would do it for $5 million. I don't think I could.
Well, anyway, the reason I brought this all up is that I am pretty satisfied with where I am,
as you should be.
But I just feel like, but I probably shouldn't be. Like maybe I'm lying to myself. I'm deceiving myself into thinking I'm healthy when that's not
don't
true.
Don't get complacent, right? And
No.
you don't ever want to go back to the guy that we see in the
I
preview.
agree with you there.
You know?
Yes.
Like, it's shocking for me to see.
The biggest thing for me is accountability. I still get on the scale every single day just to make sure that it's not, ticking up in the wrong direction.
Yep.
And
do you panic if you're up a couple pounds?
I wouldn't say I panic, but
you're
I
like,
notice
I
it.
gotta dial it in.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to fluctuate up and down a little bit, no matter what. Just how much water you drank yesterday, it can make a difference. But I will keep an eye on it, just because I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back.
I'm very proud of you. You look great.
Thank you. You look good too.
Thanks.
10 pounds, huh?
Yeah. Again,
no fanfare at all.
No,
Paulie, what did you say? 25?
Not a big production for
last
me.
year. Yeah.
Nice. So we've lost 75 pounds as a show.
Look at us. Let's make it 100.
Let's do it.
All right, Annie and Elston are coming up next. I'm sure they will continue this conversation or not. And we will be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. For Paul Ryle and Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Tuesday from all of us here at 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.